Wonder Mooning! Welcome to the first ever episode of Vtuber Explains, a V series where I, your local zombie Alice, with many hyperfixations and raging ADHD, info dump about my favorite pieces of media to you with very much exacerbated intricacy. The level of intricacy that you would only expect from a neurodivergent person such as myself. So, hi, it's Editing Alice here. As you can see, this video is massive and it was done entirely on stream. So I will randomly be popping in to correct myself or add things that I forgot while I was live and actually doing this entire stream. Thank you in advance for watching this whole video. It was very much a labor of love. The entire project overall probably took me like 50 hours or more, including editing this video. So I really hope you enjoy it. Please support the official release of the movie if you're able to. You can buy it on DVD, Blu-ray, and it is also currently streaming on Peacock as of the time that I'm uploading this video, which is August 22nd, 2026. Thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoy this project, and I will see you in a bit to correct myself a few times. Mwah! Welcome to the first ever episode. I have to start with the Fnaf movie because Fnaf is one of my favorite video game franchises of all time. However, I enjoy watching people play Fnaf games, but I myself am not a gamer in such a way. So I have been struggling for a long time to figure out what I was going to do so that I could introduce all of you to Fnaf. Well, there's 2 movies out now, so let me just go over the movies in super intricate detail. Scene by fucking scene, baby. I just want to take a minute to acknowledge just how much work I have put into this for you. The loose script is 46 pages. The PowerPoint presentation you are seeing right now is 123 panels. I love you, and you better love me back, okay? You have to sit here, and you have to appreciate that we are talking about Freddy fucking Fazbear, his full legal name. So, without further ado, let's get into the fucking Fnaf movie. Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, a magical place for kids and grown-ups alike where fantasy and fun come to life. Are you excited to be here? Oh my goodness, you should be. But before we can enjoy the Fnaf of it all, it starts with a black screen. It's a cold open. The screen is black, but we hear noises. It's like the sound of squeaking metal in the distance, like it's being jostled with, perhaps. And the sound of probably a man whimpering. And then suddenly, we're granted vision. Somebody is messing with the screw. Their fingers are not clean. They're covered in something red. Can you believe it? Interesting. Strange. But the scene continues, and we're granted a full shot, revealing that we are in the security office at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, with a beautiful set of monitors on the wall, and a familiar Celebrate poster with all of the members of the band that will be introduced later, in depth, I promise. So, that's the office, but pay attention to the man on the side of the screen. That is the person who was whimpering before, and he's wearing a gray uniform, so he's most likely a security guard, you know? And he's trying to get a screw out of a vent on the wall and making a lot of noise while doing so. So the fact that he continues to make so much noise on purpose, it kind of feels, is crazy. A chair falls behind him. He freaks the fuck out and screams. A pounding happens on the door. He freaks the fuck out and screams. He's very vocal. He clearly is not going to survive the horror movie, and we will be referring to him from here on out as Noisy Nelson, because we never learn what his name is. He's just the security guard. So Noisy Nelson continues whimpering as the pounding on the door continues. And then he finally gets the cover for the vent off and climbs into the vent shaft maze. Very conveniently sized, if you will notice. He truly fits in there perfectly. For one singular moment, he has very much lucked out, but that will not last. The vents indeed go into a full maze, and he chooses the left path, which brings him to punching out the vent again, making a bunch of noise because it's never quiet when metal clatters to the floor. But he climbs out, and it seems like we're in some sort of storage closet. We got cleaning supplies, paper towels, all kinds of knickknacks in here. You know, it's definitely not looking good for him. This doesn't seem like a very safe place to hide. He's been making so much noise. He's probably gonna die, but maybe not. Have you considered that he is actually standing straight in front of the exit door? Except it's not the exit door. It's just an exit to the different part of the building. A part of the building that will be reoccurring. I prefer to call it the employee hallway because it's one of those locations where it's just a bunch of paths that lead to different parts of employee only areas like storage closets and the kitchen, etc. So I just call it the employee hallway. So no, he did not exit the building. And in fact, he just runs straight through it, screaming all the while. And then we see that the stage has lights and there's music playing in the distance. The romantic song, Talking in Your Sleep, which is kind of the theme song of this movie. And anyway, while he runs past this stage, kicking and screaming all the while, we see the shadow of a fox, and we hear him begin to start scatting. And then he books it down the hallway. And Noisy Nelson is fucked as he tries and fails to escape through the gate that was at the back of the building. He's captured by Foxy, and suddenly he finds himself in a chair. It locks around his chest. It locks around his wrist. It's some sort of fucking saw trap bullshit. But not only that, when he awakens and opens his eyes, he sees what I have called the Freddy Fazbear Tomato Soupinator, because it is a giant animatronic head full of nothing but sharp-ass screws and cogs. Clearly, whoever made this attraction really likes the Saw movies, good taste, but ain't no way Noisy Nelson is making it out of this, right? Well, maybe so, because once again, there's a screw that's loose in one of the cuffs. So he struggles with it, but alas, the Supinator gets to him. Goodbye, Noisy Nelson. You fought the good fight, but it was no match for the fox, nor the Tomato Supinator. Very, very tragic to see you go that way. But, you know, well, that was just the cold open. Forget about Noisy Nelson. We're looking at this stage now, but it's empty. No performance for us yet. Very tragic, very sad. It pans over the entirety of the arcade and dining area. We have drawings on the children's wall that we pan over, right? And then we zoom in, and there is a drawing of a yellow rabbit with 5 children. This is very important. Anyway, actually on to the opening credits. It's done in a pixel art style, and it's a familiar pixel art style because it's clearly meant to imitate Scott's style from his era of the games, which is Fnaf 1 through 7. And it's a little more detailed than Scott's style is, but I appreciate that this is clearly what the reminiscence that you feel as a Fnaf fan was meant to be towards. You can't see a style like this at the beginning of the Fnaf movie's credits without thinking, oh my god, it's just like when the game becomes pixel art. It's so fun. I love it. I appreciate it so much. This movie is so fucking good. And, you know, it may seem like it's just opening credits, but actually, I won't tell you the details yet, but pay attention to the out of context ones, because you will have a scene later where you realize, that is what the opening credits was meant to allude to and portray. We see this yellow rabbit. His name is Spring Bonnie. And as you'll notice, there's meant to be 5 children here, but one of them is missing. And that is because the opening credits portray this yellow ass bitch kidnapping children and smirking all the while. What does it all mean? I wonder. Anyway, Five Nights at Freddy's, baby! Yeah! And that's the whole opening of the movie. Isn't that so good? Isn't it so exciting? I truly do recommend looking up the opening credit song. It is very spooky, but so satisfyingly spooky that I listened to it a lot while I was writing the script, actually. Very, very fun. Well, that was so much fun, wasn't it? Well, anyway, moving on. Beep, beep, bitch! It's every Fnaf player's favorite time of the day. 6 a.m. Beep, beep. Enter our protagonist, Mike Schmidt, played by Josh Hutcherson, very well. He is so good in this role, and there will be multiple points through this stream where I tell you in detail how much I love him. But the main takeaway from his introduction is that he looks like he slept like absolute shit. His hair is a mess. He looks exhausted. And he maintains that through the whole movie. An introduction that tells you this man has been through some shit already. Sucks that he is our protagonist. That means he will have to go through a whole movie's worth of more shit. Very tragic for him. But we must talk about his nightstand for a moment. And to do so, I have a magical tool. A Freddy Fazbear pointer hand. Yeah! Let's go! Okay. So, first and foremost, obviously, we have the alarm clock marking 6 a.m., of course. We also have a nondescript bottle of prescription medication, which you can only tell because in America, our containers are always orange for your medications. So it is a prescription, but we don't know the title of them. We cannot see them. We also have a glass of water, very good, should always keep hydration nearby, and a lamp. Those two aren't important, but they are there and they're a nice touch. However, we see that there is a tape player, a cassette player. We don't get to see what it's playing just yet, but we know that it's there, so clearly he is someone who needs to sleep with white noise going on in the background. There is also a family portrait. Assumingly, he is one of the children in the picture, and assumingly the other 2 people in the picture at the top are his parents, and maybe a sibling, we don't know yet. And then finally, we have a book titled Dream Theory. We will learn about this book momentarily, but the detail that you should note here is that it is a very worn book. It has clearly been very thoroughly read repeatedly. So keep those details in mind because they will come back and they're a very nice showing of visual storytelling that I always appreciate a movie having. There's also two other things that I would like to note about his room before we move on. Number one, his walls are practically empty. He really only has a shelf around and his window. There's no like personality on his walls at all. The only thing that he has hung in his room that isn't a shelf is a picture, clearly meant to be a like travel pamphlet for Nebraska. And it is hanging on his ceiling exactly where his head lies when he lays in bed to go to sleep at night. Very interesting indeed. But he starts doing push-ups for some reason before we move on. And initially when I was writing the script, or I guess really I should probably call them notes because it's mainly just to help me remember where I am. But I was gonna make fun of him for doing push-ups out of nowhere, and then it was like, you know what? Horror movie protagonists never exercise. He is making it out of the horror movie because he's in shape. So I retract my instinct to make fun of him for doing push-ups. He's actually so smart for that. Good for you, Mike. You survived the horror movie, and from the very beginning you established that you deserve it. Good for you. Good for you. Moving on. There are children's drawings on the walls again, but different from the ones that we saw at the beginning of the movie in the opening credits. There is a reoccurring image in all of them, and we get the entrance of our child protagonist, Abby Schmidt, played by Piper Rubio, Mike's younger sister, sassy queen, and I adore her so much. She's a very well-written character. She's a very well-written child, and I adore her. All we get to know about the two of them at the very beginning of the movie is that clearly they are living alone together. Mike as the older brother caring for his younger sister, Abby. There's no parents present. It's just the two of them. So, Abby has a pillow fort in her room, and she's hiding in there. But Mike instantly knows that it's her in there when he sees that she's not in her bed, and he walks over to it, and he shakes the sheets, and she complains, iconically, as she deserves to, and he tells her that she knows that he has somewhere to be, so get dressed, she has 5 minutes. And she throws her plushie at him because she deserves to. She tells him that you're being a jerk. He kind of is. You'll notice, well, I guess it's a detail you'll notice if you watch the original movie, which I will say, just because I'm going by scene by scene, this is not meant to tell you to not watch the Fnaf movie. I hope that this does make you watch the Fnaf movie, actually, so that you can actually appreciate the portrayals that I'm detailing. But the tone that Mike tends to have for the bulk of the movie is a very tired, dry tone. He doesn't put a lot of emotion into it. He's kind of just speaking to speak, you know? There's not really a feeling intended to be behind it, just beyond his exhaustion. So there are a few standout moments where his tone does change, and I find that a very important detail to also point out. And though the dreamer remains asleep, he walks through memory as if experiencing it for the first time anew, no longer a passenger, but an active participant. An excerpt from the Dream Theory book that we saw on Mike's nightstand earlier. It is being read by his co-worker, Jeremiah. He questions if such a thing is for real, and Mike responds that, well, I guess it depends on what you believe. And Jeremiah then goes into he goes into a personal anecdote that again is an emphasis of Please watch this movie. It is so much funnier than I can portray, but I will do my best. Summer of '82, I traded a mint condition Cal Ripken Jr. rookie card for a used copy of Missile Command. That card's probably worth $800 now. I wish I could participate in that memory and actively kick my own ass. He is so real for that. He is so real for that. We've all been there. You know, anybody who used to collect like Thai toys or Pokemon cards, we've all been there. We all have a memory like this. Why did I give away that Pokemon card? God, I'm so stupid, you know? We've all been there. Thank you, Jeremiah. I feel very seen by you. Mike then goes over to an Easter egg. The first big one, besides the opening credits being meant to reference Scott's style. But the ice cream place that Mike is a regular at, where he always gets his sweet treats while he's at work, is themed after Chica's Magic Rainbow, which is from Fnaf World. If you don't know, Chica's Magic Rainbow actually winds up being the final boss of the entire game. So it's a really fun reference for them to make. I find it adorable. And it made me scream the first time I watched the movie. But Mike goes to order his usual. We see that while he's in line and waiting for his order, he's watching a kid on the other side of the mall who is alone. This is important. He always pays attention to children because he is a very protective person of children. Understandable. All we know about him so far is that he has a younger sister. We don't know what kind of sibling the other person was or is. We don't know anything about that. We just know that it's him and Abby. So he's always paying attention to children. And while he's anxiously watching this child, we suddenly see a man appear and harshly grab the child's shoulder, starts pulling them along very roughly while the child leans away, clearly not wanting to go with this person. So Mike's brain goes to the worst case scenario and he begins chasing these people, calling after them. He's nervous, he's panicking, he's panting, he's sweating. He thinks that he is witnessing a live kidnap. So as he pursues them, he then follows them, savagely jumps on the man who is pulling the child away, tackles him, and punches the ever-loving shit out of him. He beats that man's ass, y'all. It's brutal as hell. And he's doing it in the middle of the mall lobby in a fountain. Very, very insane stuff. And I know what you're thinking. Why? You said that you like this guy? This is a crazy first impression. Hear me out, Your Honor. Hear me out, Your Honor. His heart was in the right place. Like I said, he thought he was witnessing a kidnapping in real time, okay? His heart was in the right place. Please. Please, there's no better reason to kick someone's ass than wanting to prevent a kidnapping, right? But I do understand your point. He should have asked who this person was instead of assuming that it was not the child's father, that the child just didn't want to leave the mall yet. I understand. That's fair and true. And he obviously got his ass fired, unfortunately. Unfortunately. But it's still really funny and iconic, and he's a hero. His heart was in the right place, okay? His heart was in the right place. Well, because he loses that job, we cut to a scene of him. This is the only shot that we get that actually shows you the year that the movie takes place in. Remember the year. It's not necessarily relevant, but it is really appealing to have as a FNAF fan who rarely ever gets years exactly in the FNAF games. It's the year 2000. We're looking through a security camera. Mike is waiting somewhere. He is bouncing his fucking leggy like the ADHD icon he is, having a mini panic attack because he fucking beat someone's ass and got fired. And he's definitely really fucked up after that. But his number is called on and he's told to follow the nice lady to the office of Enter Steve Raglan, career counselor, played by Matthew Lillard, who has beautiful eyes. Look at those eyes. When I took this screenshot, I was like, damn, Matthew Lillard, your eyes are so beautiful. They're so beautiful. Thank you, Matthew Lillard, for existing. We love you, Matthew Lillard. So, he shrugs at Mike, and he's just like, what the fuck is going on, man? What is your deal? And he starts going into detail about the previous two incidents that led to his firing before the mall incident. But before that, I just want to point out something with the Freddy pointer again. This at the top here is just a certification award. There is no detail at all. It's just a random certificate. And then at the bottom here, it is straight up just a fucking participation award. Again, nondescript. We don't know what for, but it's so fucking funny because it's like, yes, very specific things, just like any real professional would have in their office. There is nothing to be suspicious of. Steve Raglan is a trustworthy man. Okay, he's a career counselor, and he has a guy who just got his ass fired by beating a man in public. So, like I said, he shrugs at him and he's like, what is your deal, Mike? What are you, some kind of head case? You beat up a man in broad daylight in front of his child. And so we see it. We see the kid yelling after his dad as Mike continues beating the shit out of his dad. And Jeremiah chased Mike as soon as he saw him running, probably, and pulls him off of the guy. And Mike looks completely dazed, like, oh my fucking god, where am I? What did I just do? Like, he got straight up possessed. Wink. Yeah, it's crazy. So Mike starts trying to defend himself. He's like, that was a misunderstanding. It was a mistake. It was an accident. And Steve Raglan cuts him off. He's like scoffing and laughing. And then he points down to Mike's fucking career history. And he cites 2 other incidents where he was let go for very poor behavior. He does not shy away from really telling Mike's ass off. He is not fucking around. He is taking the job seriously, okay? Maybe his awards on his wall aren't legitimate, but his efforts in this moment do seem to be so. He truly does not understand what the fuck Mike's problem is and wants to help him just because he's a career counselor and that's what he's meant to do. So he tells him, like, it's like, you're not even trying here, yet you sit before me asking for help. And Mike responds with this expression, justifiably so. He doesn't want to hear it. He knows he done fucked up. Stop rubbing it in. But then we cut back to Steve Raglan. He goes to read out Mike's full name. And then he suddenly pauses and looks back at Mike. And then we visibly see him leaning in to study him, squinting, and then leaning back. That's a strange way to react when you're learning someone's full name, huh? Well, I suppose we're not meant to dwell on it too much, because he then asks Mike if he wants a coffee. He has a little coffee station set up back here in his office. And Mike says no. Clearly kind of shaken up by the very strange tone that Mr. Raglan is using here. And for the entire duration that his coffee is being made in the coffee machine, his back is turned to Mike. And he just continues carrying on the conversation, clearly now trying his best to imitate almost his original serious tone, but failing miserably, because now you can just tell that he's awkward and his vibes are not passing the check. But he says, I'm going to be brutally honest with you here, Mike. Given your track record, your options are going to be extremely limited. Which, okay, this is fair. This is most definitely probably true. So he finally returns to his seat after saying all of that. And he has his coffee on the desk, and he continues to kind of emphasize, like, no, seriously, I want to help you, dude, but I don't know what to fucking do. Shrug emoji in real time. I don't know what I can do for you. So Mike thanks him for trying and gets up to leave. But before he actually gets all the way out the door, Mr. Raglan stops him and tells him, I have a job for you. And then he insists, come back down, come sit, okay? Hear me out. Sits back down in front of Mr. Raglan, and Mr. Raglan explains it's a security gig. Full disclosure, it's not great. High turnover, that's what we call it in the business. But you get to be your own boss. Sorta. You only have to worry about one thing: keeping people out. And, keep the place tidy. That's two things. Mike sarcastically replies, and he gets met with this look. Clearly, a pet peeve of our king, Steve Raglan. He fucking hates this sort of sass. That will come up again. Keep this scene in your back pocket. Wink. Anyway, Mike tells him that he can't work nights. And so he has to take care of his sister. So he's up Schitt's Creek without a paddle, not knowing what to do. So Mr. Raglan still at least gives him his card and says, in case you have a change of heart, take the card. And I will tell you now, Mike does eventually take the job, but he really does decline this initial time. He returns home, and there is a notice on his door. It is a red slip that is a notice of delinquency, very probably due to not paying bills, not being able to pay for bills because he just lost yet another job, and he's been having many only stints and not full-on careers. So, just another piece of shitty icing on this horribly baked cake. It's not even solid all the way through. It's pure liquid in there, man. Awful. But still, he goes into his house, and he has a friend who does watch Abby during the day. And this is Max. She's watching QVC. She tells Mike that there's Stofers waiting for him. Mike asks if Abby's eaten, and Max sarcastically replies, what do you think? Implying that Abby very much is not a kid who tends to take care of herself without prompting, which is fair when you understand her. But there is a small detail that I would like to point out in this scene. Like I said, Max is sitting on the couch. She's watching the QVC channel, and there is a diamond ring displayed on the screen. And she wistfully says that she wishes someone would buy her a ring. I just appreciate a small little detail like that to give her some depth. Like, she's clearly just a side character, but they still wanted to have some sort of aspect of humanity and realism. I always appreciate when movies do that. I love this fucking movie so much. So much. But Max leaves off screen as Mike goes to Abby's room, and we see her in her room. She's sitting at her desk. Gorgeous desk for a kid to have, by the way. All those drawers. 4 drawers on each side. And it's white and blue. It's such a pretty desk. She's slaying. I would spend all day at that desk too. It's beautiful. I'm not biased towards the color palette at all. But she's clearly drawing. And Mike walks into her room and he looks over her shoulder, and he always compliments her art, which is another thing that I do want to point out. Every time Mike does see Abby drawing, he will tell her that it looks really good. And that is a habit that he continues in the second movie as well. One of the first scenes that we get in the second movie, when we get to see them on screen again, is him telling her that it looks really good, that she's been drawing really great. And I appreciate little details like that. But she's drawing. She tells him that the other people in the drawing, because this is actually meant to be him. The reoccurring image in all of her pictures is always Mike, front and center alongside herself. That's also important. Keep that in mind. But there's other people here too. He asks, you know, who are those people? And she just casually goes, my friends. Yeah, it's just her friends. And she's not done yet. So, you know, no comments. Please hold comment until the drawing is complete so that it can be put up in the museum properly afterwards. Thank you. Thank you. So he tells her that she can finish after she eats. And she doesn't want to. She wants to finish the drawing now. So they get into a little bit of a tussle. He tries to pull the crayon out of her hand, but instead it winds up snapping. And we see a very rare, I'm pretty sure this is the only scene that's actually like this in the entire movie, where he basically kind of loses patience with her almost. Not completely. He never yells at her or anything like that. But whenever he talks to Abby, his tone tends to stay level and gentle. This entire first half of the movie is the only time that we see him being so far at his limit that he can't hold the habit up. So he sits on her bed. He is exasperated. He takes off his tie and he basically begs her to eat, relaying like, listen, Abs, it's been a very bad day. Please just eat. And Abby makes no comment to that. She just simply informs him that he's sitting on her friend. So he gets up, tries to leave. But before he exits the room, he says, you should know what happens to little kids who don't eat. Their bodies stay the same size forever. And they never get to go on the adult rides at theme parks. Truly like a tale full of terror, but not for me. I'm not a theme park person. I have fibromyalgia. That sounds like a fucking nightmare. Not for me. But for a kid, I'm sure. I'm sure that's terrifying. And Abby just simply replies, my friend says you're an idiot. With that exact expression. Valid reaction. And then Mike says, at least I'm real. remember that. He will regret that. He returns to his room, and now we do get a close-up of the cassette player that we saw on his nightstand earlier. It is a tape playing nature sounds. He lays down in bed, stares up at his ceiling, right where the Nebraska poster is, tries to go to sleep with the pills taken. No more dealing with the current woes of the day, an awful day that he's had. He just wants to go to sleep. So real, deserved. But this is another moment. Pay attention. This will be another reoccurring thing. This movie has a lot of reoccurring things. I wouldn't expect any less from a FNAF movie, but there's truly a lot of reoccurring things. So we zoom in on the Nebraska poster. It transitions into this scene, Mike's dream. Mike's dream is important. This will continue happening, but it's kind of like a Groundhog Day scenario because every time we see it again, it's a tiny bit different and you really have to pay attention. We're in a loop. But we see a kid. He's playing with a airplane toy. And then we see another boy, assumedly probably a teenager because he looks significantly older than this little guy. And he's sitting at a picnic table with his family. They're having burgers. We're clearly in like some sort of national forest park or something. It seems like a very fun day. Until his mom accidentally knocks over our Coke, the glass bottle of Coke. This is the first detail to pay attention to because it will change. Play this fucking movie and treat it like observation duty and see if you win and find all of the anomalies for every dream sequence. While she goes to get a towel to clean up the mess that she's made, she tells the teenager that we now know is Mike because she uses his name to go look for her brother while she grabs a towel. So Mike goes to look for his brother, but he's nowhere to be found. We learn in the dream that his brother's name is Garrett, and he desperately cries out for him. But alas, he runs to no avail after a car that we hear before we see. And while he's running through the trees, he transitions into his adult self, still trapped in the memory, the trauma of losing his younger brother to a kidnapping when he himself was still a child. Very difficult thing to go through. But we don't see the kidnapper's face. We just see Garrett holding his orange plane in his hand, staring back at Mike, knowing that we will never see him again. And as a little note of detail, once again, I zoomed in when I was editing, and this is completely blacked out. You do not get to know who the person in the seat is at all. It's also completely blacked out here. There is no definition. It is just a figure. And I appreciate that level of detail because whenever I have dreams about like stuff that I don't remember clearly, this is what my head does. I don't know if that's a thing that's just me or like happens for other people, but I think that's a very unique detail because like Mike's whole character so far is that he's a jaded, traumatized man who is tasked with taking care of his sister after losing his brother to a kidnapping when he was a teenager. So he's blocked it out, or maybe he never knew. Honestly, we kind of don't know. He says that he didn't know, but it is possible that maybe he just forgot who it was and could have seen him. But alas. Mike calls after him, screaming, but there's no use. Garrett is gone, and Mike wakes up, and we see the photo on his nightstand up close and personal now, and we can tell that it is his mother, his father, him, and his younger brother, Garrett. Pictures of a happier time that can sadly never be relived. They are truly gone, and that is very tragic and very sad. We then cut to a new scene. Abby is sitting in a playground, drawing while other kids play. She clearly has no interest in participating with the children. And we see that Mike is sitting in an office again, but this time a singular person's office and not a waiting room office. Two other people sitting next to him, one other person across from them. He's sitting in the counselor's office for the school that Abby goes to. This is a lawyer. I apologize in advance for having to introduce you to Aunt Jane. This bitch will only be referred to as Aunt Bitch moving forward. You will very quickly understand why. However, I will say she is portrayed by Mary Stuart Masterson, and she does an incredible job. So I despise the character as much as I do because her actress is acting her ass off and has truly crafted her to make her as obnoxious as possible. And that takes talent. It really takes talent to make me feel deep-rooted hatred the way I feel for fucking Aunt Jane. But shout out the queen, Mary Stuart Masterson, because holy shit, nobody could have played her better. So, she's sitting in the office with Mike. And she basically just starts fucking badgering him, denoting that, you know, it's like 10 a.m. and he could barely keep his eyes open. Unnecessary. It's still the morning, okay? Like, she just comes in guns a-blazing and she is obnoxious. She does not hold back. Immediately, this bitch points to Mike and she goes, and this degenerate is who they entrust with the care of a mentally ill child. Like I said, they're in the counselor's office. So the fucking counselor is like, I've told you before, Abby is not mentally ill. What the fuck? What the fuck? You think you deserve to be in charge of this child that you're calling mentally ill when she is not is insane. It's insane. But she continues to be the absolute fucking worst. Because she goes, oh right, rolls her eyes, and then just goes perfectly normal to sit around drawing pictures all day and talking to magical creatures who do not exist. It actually is. That does not mean that she is mentally ill. She is just a child who, considering the circumstances, is actually behaving relatively normally. She could be a lot worse off with the shit that we already know she's been through. We know that she's Mike's younger sibling. She wasn't around, but that obviously will have a ripple effect on that entire family forever. She's gone through shit. She's just behaving like a normal child. And this bitch wants money from the fucking government every month. And she doesn't even know how children work at all. It's fucking insane. And she continues to double down. And she's just like, you're the doctor, and you're making me feel like I'm the crazy one? And after what he did to that poor man, and then she starts fucking crying. You see? Aunt Bitch, very deserved. I hate this bitch. I hate this bitch. She is so well acted and well written to be as insufferable as possible. We've all been there with people like this. You know exactly in your life who this bitch reminds you of. She is that well written and played. My God. There is not a singular tear on her eyes. And Mike is obviously just like, bruh. Eye rolling himself. No one's buying it. Honestly, not even her lawyer. Her lawyer's kind of just dissociating through the entire ordeal. And she gets her lawyer to hand him this pamphlet of papers. A family court matter response to other parties' request to change child custody. In front of the school counselor too, who clearly doesn't like her, which is also insane. You got two people who don't like you, a lawyer who hates your ass so much he dissociates when you're doing shit. This bitch. So obviously Mike is like, all right, well, what if I fucking don't sign these papers, you know? And she just shrugs and she's like, you know, in your heart, it's the right thing to do. And Mike goes, and if I don't, then my lawyer and I will have to take you to court, where any judge with an ounce of sanity will see to it that you never see your sister again. Bruh. Ugh. We all my homies despise Aunt Jane. This bitch. This evil ass bitch. I wish we could relive the fountain scene, but alas, we can't. We move on though. We don't see how the conversation concludes. We just cut to Mike talking in front of the windows to the playground with the counselor. But we get out the Freddy pointer again because we have this important Easter egg to go over, because most of these words here are FNAF references. We start with musician. This is a reference to Music Man. The second word is puppet, which is really cool because the puppet is a huge part of the second FNAF movie. So it's a fun little Easter egg and also kind of like, oh, that was fun foreshadowing. I love to see it. It's so good. Junior could also arguably be a reference, but probably not because it's a fan game. Heart. Rapid. Bear. Liberty. Trophies. Bunny. Project. Manager. Fox. Town. Vein. Chick. And wrinkle. So, obviously, Bunny is for Bonnie. Bonnie the rabbit. Bonnie the bunny. He's the guitar player of the band. We got Bear for Freddy Fazbear himself. My beloved, look at him. Look at him. I will draw a heart over him. I love Freddy Fazbear with all my heart and soul. Oh my goodness. I can't believe he's here so early. Can you fucking believe it? Guys, so fucking based. And then we got Fox above town for Foxy the pirate. The pirate Fox, the king of Pirates Cove himself. And of course, Chick is for Chica. Chica is also a singer in the band. And then in Security Breach, she also gets to be like the bass player. Bass, cool, how fun to see just little details like that. And also, like I said, this is the puppet. This is the puppet from FNAF 2. the actual FNAF 2 game and also the second movie. So again, seeing it referenced is really cool because it plays such a huge role in the movie and a huge role in just like the lore overall as well. If you're unaware completely, like this stream is truly your complete first introduction to FNAF, I will tell you, it is a fandom that has always been known for being very thorough in like our theorizing and our analysis. FNAF is truly a game series where people have combed through it up and down every which way. You know, it's we always look for stuff like this, you know, in like the games and stuff. Any kind of little crumb that we can get our hands on, we do. So the movie including little stuff like this, where if you're paying attention, or if you just kind of take a screenshot of random scenes and look around in the scene, you could probably find something that was intentionally put there to be a reference for you to pick up if you are a veteran fan who's looking for this sort of stuff. So I just appreciate that. I just want there is one Easter egg I will say that I did not include because we really don't get a proper viewing of it. The only like proper view we get of it is actually in YouTube videos of content creators who went to the set. So, but it's still really cool. Anyway, back to the scene. They're standing in front of the windows to the playground. Mike is, you know, like pretty understandably like lamenting about what they just talked about, having to be in Aunt Bitch's presence for more than 5 minutes, suffocating. Absolutely suffocating, I'm sure. He tells her like she doesn't even care about Abby. All she wants is the monthly check from the government. True. And you know what? You will recall this took place in the year 2000. There ain't no fucking way that was enough money to justify ruining a child's life and a traumatized man who lost his brother to a kidnapping. Putting both of them through the shit that you were trying to put them through. But it was probably like literally maybe around a few $100s. Like I highly doubt it was even a livable wage. It probably at most paid either just rent or some other bill. In no way enough money to justify the way that she is trying to uproot this entire family that it only has 2 people in it left as it is. It's awful. She's so fucking evil. I hate her. But I digress. Mike sighs and he says, you know, she has some good points though. I'm hardly fit to be taking care of a kid, which, you know, is fair. So as much as I fucking despise her, unfortunately, he is right that a bad judge, not necessarily a sane judge, a bad judge who doesn't do their proper research, because I feel like any judge who actually has the best interest of children in mind would be like, oh my God, you're insufferable. You shouldn't be around children. You shouldn't be around anyone. The fuck? But still, a judge that doesn't fucking care would probably take her side just on account of her at least having enough money for a lawyer. Clearly, she's pretty well off as it is. The exact quote that she says is, you know, pictures hold tremendous power for children. Before we learn to speak, images are the most powerful tool we have for understanding the world around us. What's real, what matters most to us. These are things children learn to communicate almost exclusively through pictures. And she points out that in the center of all of Abby's pictures is Mike himself, which he can't deny. And she says, like it or not, you're her world, which is just so sweet and so true, because both of them really do have like all of their actions and behaviors and motives for everything revolving around each other. And it's nice to see a character that actually acknowledges that, because it proves that she truly does have Abby's best interest in mind by acknowledging how important Mike is to her. Obviously, the counselor is like, he should probably get a job, and he agrees. So he goes back home. Like I said, he's in front of the phone. He's got Steve Raglan's card in hand. Mr. I can't work nights. I was just wondering if that job was still available. And like, again, his energy in this scene is so fucking weird. But like, in a way of, you can tell that Matthew Lillard is having the time of his life. He loves playing characters like this. I'm so happy that he gets to. He's having so much fun. I love it so much. Mike is struggling, and Mr. Raglan's like, oh, it absolutely is. Have you had a change of heart? He was so excited for him to have the change of heart. He's so excited. And we just see Mike look over at Abby, who's in the living room watching TV. She's watching cartoons. And asks when he can start. And then we're at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza! A magical place for kids and grown-ups alike, where fantasy and fun come to life. Yeah! Yeah! So, we get Steve Raglan playing the role of phone guy as he tells Mike about his new summer job at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Let me give you a little backstory. He's smirking the whole time, and it continues to widen over the course of this place was huge in the 80s with the kids. It's been shut down for years. The only reason they haven't given it the old wrecking ball treatment is the owner is a bit of a... well, he's kind of a sentimental guy, I guess. Can't bring himself to let it go. And then he's full on smirking. I wonder why. That's crazy. Well, anyway, had a couple of problems with break-ins over the years. Drunks and vagrants mostly. Not ideal. True. Not ideal. But I will say that it being acknowledged just makes me think about how I really wish there were more FNAF fan games that were just not antagonistic and were just you kind of having fun. Like, I want to team up with the animatronics and I want to have to fight some delinquents outside trying to ruin my fucking shift with Freddy and friends. Can someone make this happen? Can someone who can actually make games, can you make this happen for me? I'll play it on stream and I'll probably fucking cry. Thank you in advance. You know, we got cameras on the outside, cameras on the inside. We got floodlights on the outside as well, so the cameras have full vision. And the electricity isn't great, but if it is required, there's a breaker in the office. Just flip it whichever way it needs to go at the time. And then Mike does flip it, and we see the sign lighting up, and he's waving at us. He's waving, guy. I think that's about it. You know, the rest is pretty easy. Just keep your eyes on the monitors and keep people out. Piece of cake. And now we get to sit at the desk. It's the desk, guys. Look, it's the desk. It's the desk right in front of you. Isn't that so fun? Oh my goodness. It's obviously not exact, but it's there and I love it. We got the monitors. We got this Celebrate poster, which is pretty much ripped completely out of the game directly. We got the fan, the infamous fan. We even got the to-go cup, this signature red and white striped to-go cup. It's so fun. It's so good. The mic is sitting at the desk as Steve Raglan hangs up the call, telling him that'll catch him on the flip side. Hopefully. That was kind of ominous. All right, Steve. What the hell? Well, we won't elaborate, though. So, you know, Mike is sitting at the desk. He's kind of bored. And then he looks over. And he sees that there is one of those rolly TV stands that we used to have in school in the early 2000s. And there's a tape for him so that he can play it on the VCR. And it has his name on it. And he looks over at it and he goes, what the hell? and he plays it. And it's a Freddy Fazbear security training tape. And it is the most 80s shit you have ever seen in your fucking life. They go completely all out with truly making it feel like, you know, there's a lot of jobs that they never re-record the training tapes, you know? They just keep the training tapes that have been around for as long as the company has. So it really feels authentic to how watching this shit to this day feels. I really appreciate it. They truly went all out with the detail, and I can't get enough of it every time. But, you know, turn on the tape, typical 80s music starts playing, and we get to meet this girl. She's all smiles, and she's like, congratulations! We're going to have so much fun together. If you're watching this tape, then that means that you have the honor of being the new security guard at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Like that kind of energy. But, you know, she continues to give the usual jargon that these videos always tend to have. We learn about the history of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza a little bit. And I will also quote this directly because I think it's worded very in character for like a phone guy kind of character. The genius who created Freddy Fazbear Entertainment opened Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria to indulge in its two greatest passions: family-friendly fun and cutting-edge animatronic technology. Very cutting edge. Scarily cutting edge. And now they really are impressive animatronic technology. Good for them. So they do actually kind of give you a more intricate, like, kind of explanation of how the animatronic works. But there's also kind of a simplified version put in there where she, you know, talks about how they're able to move around freely and interact with customers in a lifelike fashion, which is really nice to see acknowledged, because in the games it's pretty explicitly implied that, like, the reason that Fazbear Entertainment became the conglomerate that it is, both in the games and real life, is because it had these very impressive animatronics. And when Fnaf first came out, the game first came out, people still to this day are very impressed by how intricately the game's AI is coded, like the aggression of the animatronics themselves in the game. It's just nice. It's just nice to see it all acknowledged. Like, you know, I appreciate it. I do. So we see the arcade, we see the ball pit, we see more arcade games, and we see a workshop where someone's working on one of the endoskeleton suits that sits inside the animatronic to control them. Working on an animatronic behind her. We're going over all the details and stuff. It's a really educational video. Thank you so much. And then she gets in front of the Showtime button. Yeah, the Showtime button. And she presses it. But we don't get to see it because the tape glitches out. And it's so tragic because Fnaf Help Wanted 1 did this to us too. We were supposed to have a show, and we never got a show in the final game. And so the movie just pulling this shit is like, I see. So you even did your research into how to hurt us specifically. Great. Thanks. Thanks, guys. But, you know, the tape carries on. It only glitches for them. So she's like, oh my god, adorable, aren't they? Protecting these cuddly creatures and the proprietary technology that brings them to life is now your sacred duty. True. Protecting Freddy Fazbear is a very sacred duty. He is a childhood icon. He is a king. He is Freddy motherfucking Fazbear, okay? He is vital to fuel the joy of so many children and adults alike who are fans of fantasy and fun. You gotta take it as sacredly as she said. She specifically says sacred duty. You have to take it sacredly, Mike. And that's when the tape ends. Balloon Boy jump scare as Mike starts exploring the office. He closes the locker that we find Balloon Boy in. Understandably so. Valid reaction to have it, Balloon Boy. But then he opens it back up and he turns him around, which makes it an even more valid reaction to have towards Balloon Boy, because you will never meet a FNAF player that likes Balloon Boy, I promise. Exploring all the iconic details, you know, we go to the dining room. He's looking around. We got the wall, very accurate wall. We have stained glass pictures of the animatronics, which I wanted to point out specifically because this, again, is like such an 80s thing. 80s, 90s aesthetic, really. It reminds me of when Taco Bell used to actually be fucking cool and pretty and well designed until minimalism took over and now everything is ugly and plain. Where is your whimsy? But we have whimsy here at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. It really is a magical place. We got Chico, we got Bonnie, and we got Freddy. And he's waving again. Isn't that so fun? Oh my goodness. I love it so much. Mike gets jump scared by a clatter. And, you know, probably Noisy Nelson haunting the joint. It's so fine. You know, who cares? Y'all, he does not honor his sacred duty. He took the fucking Dream Theory book and he goes to sleep. He goes to sleep instead of sacredly protecting Freddy fucking Fazbear. Can you fucking believe it? This is the one thing about him I can't defend you in court for this one, Michael. I can't. Freddy Fazbear has to be protected and you're fucking sleeping on the job. Well, he does fully fall asleep because we hear static and then distantly talking in your sleep by the Romantics playing again before we cut to another dream. It's changed this time. The beginning of it does actually play out relatively the same, but it's kind of like a sped up version without the like middle fodder details, you know. And now Mike is as his adult self again, and there's children in front of him. And the Freddy pointer must be brought out again because you must pay attention. These children are important. They should be recognizable to you if you were paying attention in the opening credits. We have a blonde boy wearing a sweatshirt that is mainly brown but has yellow stripes. A ginger boy wearing an orange sweater. He also is wielding a hook hand. Another boy wearing a white top hat. He is wearing a shirt that is white, yellow, and brown together. A young girl with pigtails. She is wearing a white shirt, but it is a baseball tee and has yellow sleeves. And finally, we have a boy who is wearing a navy sweater, kind of got some gray details on it, and he's wearing a headband that he's made out of paper with bunny ears on it. Remember these children. They are very important. They are all styled very specifically. They stare at him. They just stare him down. They don't say anything. And he's obviously like, what the fuck? What is going on? What? They scatter. They run the fuck away. We don't know why. They don't say anything. And then he starts running after the kids and trips over a rock in the dream and trips in real life. So we know that when he does in the dream, happens for real. Very scary stuff. Terrifying. With the dreams that I have, I'd be so fucked. I'd be so cooked. But, you know, he woke up in time. Beep, beep, bitch. It's 6 a.m. again. We get to go home, guys. Beep, beep, bitch. Goes back home. Max is on the couch again. She's sleeping. So he's gotten Max to watch Abby while he's working the security guard shift. She wakes up. She asks him, you know, how was your first night? And he tells her, interesting. He tells her that he'll pay her eventually. He promises. And she says, don't worry about it. I know where you live, queen. To be honest, for that line only, queen. And then we cut to Abby in bed, and she's still sleeping. And we get this very tender moment. That is another moment that I want to, like, really acknowledge and kind of focus on. Because the way that he looks at Abby is, like, truly with a level of tangible affection that I really appreciate Josh Hutcherson portraying. Like, it feels so real. If you have someone in your life who is, whether they're a human child or an animal child, someone just that makes you burst with affection, all you can really do sometimes is just look over at them and smile super fondly and, like, brush their hair out of their face or just give them a kiss or something. So the fact that we have moments like this between them is just really sweet, And this also does come back later, but I just like highlighting it because it's just very sweet. He really does just look at her with so much affection. Look at him. He's smiling like a happy cat. It makes me so happy. I love him so much. He's such a good big brother. We cut to Sparky's, a coffee shop. This is another Easter egg. For anyone who, again, this is your first introduction to FNAF completely. Back in the day when FNAF first came out, back in 2014, there was a hoax that there was a secret sixth animatronic, not fifth, sixth. I will not elaborate on that now, but I will only acknowledge it so you don't feel like you're going insane. Back in the day, when FNAF first came out, there was a hoax that someone made up that there was a secret sixth animatronic named Sparky who was an animatronic dog. And people really did think it was real because this was when the game was so fresh, so new that we really didn't know what was real and what wasn't, It was that much of like a young game. And we actually got like an infamous edit. This is the screenshot that people spread around being like, that's Sparky. He's a dog animatronic and he's docile. He doesn't attack you and he stays in parts and service usually, which is one of the rooms that is in the FNAF 1 map. Fun stuff, truly. This is not the only time Sparky comes up, but that is an important Easter egg to point out because it really shows the, to even know, fandom hoaxes and stuff about a movie, y'all did your research, or y'all, really sat down with Scott and were like, okay, man, tell us everything you want to reference, and you let him go ahead, because this was such, an iconic thing at the time when it was occurring in the fandom, and now it's so notorious. It's just really nice to see the game being acknowledged, even in just the fandom aspect of it, because back in Scott's era of the games, he was constantly talking with people. It's really cool to see. I love it so much. But the Easter eggs don't stop there, because guess fucking what, y'all? Guess who's here? MatPat. MatPat is here in FNAF 1 and FNAF 2. I won't tell you how he's in FNAF 2 until that stream. But MatPat is here. He was a huge part of FNAF becoming the conglomerate that it is. He made so many theories about the game. He's had a lot of interactions with Scott directly, being a theorist for the game. Scott is the kind of creator who has always actively participated in his fandom. He still chats in theorist chat and such. So obviously MatPat gets to be here because he actually has a relationship with Scott, and he's wearing a name tag that says Ness. He's a waiter at the diner. This is also just funny for a very specific theory, but it's not relevant to FNAF. So if you don't know, I'm not gonna get into that. But he's here, guys. He's here. And we see that we're in the diner. And Aunt Jane is here again. I'm so sorry that you have to see this bitch again. But she's here. And they reject the food. They don't want to take their orders. They just want to chill out. And Ness goes, well, that's no fun. You do realize that lunch is the most important meal of the day. I thought it was breakfast. Some people say that, but you know, it's just a theory. That's actually what he says. I'm not fucking with you. That's the actual line in the script. It's great. I'm sure this full clip is up on YouTube. Feel free to look it up. It's great. It's very funny. And Aunt Bitch replies to him just as bitchy as you can probably imagine. Are you paid by the word, or can we have a minute? Have you no sense of just joy and excitement at all? I know you don't understand why that entire exchange is as funny as it is, but God! She is at the table. Her lawyer, Doug, is at the table next to her. Max is sitting across from them. And so is her brother, Jeff. And here's where we find out that this movie is full of fucking traitors. There is so much betrayal and traitor shit going on in this movie. It is actually fucking insane, okay? They're sitting at this table together, and apparently they have a deal going on. For $1,000, they try to make it $2,000, but she knocks it to $1,000. She wants Max, pretty much one of Mike only has like 3 friends, and at this point in the movie he only has 2, his coworker Jeremiah and Max. This bitch is so vindictive. She is working with one of his 2 friends to sabotage his job so that he can get fired and she can get custody of Abby. For $1,000, Max. $1,000, you're gonna screw over not only your friend, but your friend's baby sister that you watch. And in the scene too, they say like, well, he's been sleeping a lot on the job, and she's like, sleeping is not a crime. I would beg to differ, okay? When you are sleeping, well, Freddy Fazbear needs to be taken care of, but I fucking digress, because that's not the point here. Jeff, Max's brother, offers that they can go to his job and destroy the place, basically, just completely fucking ransack it. And the deal is a deal. The deal is a deal. The deal is made. And after that, it's fucking raining, as you can see, because it deserves to be raining. That was awful. That was absolute fucking dog shit. I can't believe y'all did that. Traitors. Mike is in his bed. He's trying to tear down the Nebraska poster from his ceiling. Obviously making a lot of noise because he's jumping on the bed to do it. He don't have a ladder for some reason. He just is jumping up and down on the bed to get it down. He's such a fucking disaster. Abby comes in and is like, what are you doing? He ignores the question. He tells her to take off the vest because he's got to go to work soon. And she's like, I know. I'm coming with you. And he says, no, you're not. Give me the vest. I'm coming with you. And then they get like into a full-on tussle. He throws her over his shoulder. She's trying to rip off his shirt as like her defense as he carries her to her room so he can take the vest off. Max coming into the house to watch Abby, and he tells her that she's all yours. You want to know why he was tearing down the poster? So he could fucking put it in the fucking building so he can continue ignoring a sacred duty of protecting Freddy fucking Fazbear. Mike, please. Mike. His ass is not working. I don't understand saying that sleeping is not a crime. You can't just sleep in the middle of work. You have to work. This has to be a violation. But who cares, I guess. He keeps fucking doing it. We see on the cameras that Pirate's Cove is empty. Foxy is not there. He's running out of the cove. You have to slam the door, Mike. He doesn't. We just see that Foxy's roaming the halls. It's watching him. It's watching his ass sleep. He's hearing the secrets that he keeps when he's talking in his sleep, guys. Can you fucking believe it? Can you believe that that's how much detail they put into picking a fucking song for this movie? Which is so iconic and also came out in 1983. But Mike don't fucking care. He goes back to his dream. It's the same again. And the children are again unresponsive. So he gets angry. He demands that they tell him who took Garrett. Because clearly, for some reason, now that they've appeared, they probably know something. He tries to run again. He's ready this time. So he is faster. And he does actually catch up with one of them. He catches up with the ginger boy who's wearing an orange sweater and is wielding a hook on his hand. And as you'll remember last time, when he fell in the dream, he fell for real. So the kid scratches his fucking arm to shit because apparently the hook is not just a play hook, it's a real hook in the dream and in real life. And for a brief moment, we see the child screaming, their eyes black, tears coming from their eyes that are also black. Very mysterious, very terrifying. And that's where the dream ends. Mike wakes up again. The lights are going crazy. The monitors are unresponsive. Clearly some shit's going on. As you'll notice, he's scratched here, the same place that he was scratched in the dream. For a moment, and I didn't catch this until I was actually doing the PowerPoint, we get this Easter egg, which is also a reference to the first game. There is a glitch that can happen in the game where It's Me flashes across the screen and like a super duper bloodshot eyes version of Freddy flashes across the screen. So the fact that everything's going to shit and It's Me is written in a scene is really cool. Again, they really did their research. It's really nice. I appreciate all of the detail that goes into it. Mike runs to the breaker to turn everything off, reset everything. And just as he does, the buzzer sounds and he turns around and he's seeing the buzzer and the monitors. He is not looking behind him, so he does not see that Foxy's standing there, clearly having actually also scratched him in real life, most probably, which is why he's probably bleeding. But he doesn't know. Foxy's just standing there asking if he can play the Xbox. Freddy said it was his turn for the Xbox. And Mike is none the wiser. Very tragic. But we see on the monitors that there is a policewoman outside. It's still storming. She's got her official uniform poncho on. And she's waiting outside the doors. She's looking up at the camera like, hello, motherfucker. I see your car out here. I know you're in there. So, we have another introduction. Enter Vanessa, played by Elizabeth Lale, who, if you're wondering why she may look familiar to you, she played back in the first season of You. She is so cute, and I love her so much. She is a policewoman, and Freddy Fazbear's is on her beat. So she was stopping by, wanting to see how the new guy was doing at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. And I know what you're thinking. Usually you put the characters' full names. Why does she not have her full? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. All you need to know is that her name is Vanessa. That's all that's relevant. We never learn Aunt Jane's last name either. If you're wondering, we never do. Vanessa is like, hey man, you should let me in. I was thinking that you fell asleep on the job. And Vanessa! He did! Vanessa, he did! Vanessa, please! Vanessa, he did! He's not protecting Freddy Fazbear. But no, she does not arrest him. Instead, they have their like introductory exchanges. They introduce each other, and then she realizes that he's bleeding. And because she's a police officer, she said she's a certified EMT, so she starts bandaging him up. And they continue talking. And she says that she knows where the first aid kit is. Mike clearly takes note of that. And she also has more comments to make, like, love what you've done with the place, you know? Why Nebraska? He's really good at interior design. One singular poster, but lots of personality there. Love that for him. She tells him, you know, after he says, wow, it seems like you really know the place, because clearly she does. And she's like, well, yeah, it's on my beat. I like to stay informed. Also, I really love the places that give me too, Vanessa. We move on. We go out. Vanessa turns on the Showtime button, and we get to see them finally properly introduced. They were made by Jim Henson's Creature Shop. They are literally pulled straight out from the game because they were able to model them after Scott's actual 3D models that he made for the game. So they are so accurate. They look so good. I love it so much. I love it so much. I love you, Freddy Fazbear. I love you, Freddy Fazbear. So they obviously, you know, they're performing Talking in Your Sleep by the Romantics, because that's the theme song of the movie. Look at them. How could you hate them? Look at Foxy. He's so happy. He's having such a good time. Vanessa asks if he wants to dance, and then Bonnie's guitar is strung, and it flashes, and the performance ends. One thing I will point out is that when they're talking earlier, while she's bandaging his wounds, they bring up the missing children. Unelaborated, don't worry about it, I guess. What matters most is that we finally get to see them perform, and yet it's still cut short anyway, and I can't have fucking shit in this goddamn house. Very tragic indeed. Missing children, that's strange. I wonder if we know who they are. Mike is like, you said some kids went missing? And Vanessa's like, yeah, back in the 80s. She goes on to explain, because he's like, what happened? You know, clearly he's not educated. He did not do his research for his job. And Vanessa just tells him, you know, it was big news. It was why the place shut down. And then she calls his ass out for not doing his fucking homework, as she should. And then also says, you don't even have your fucking badge on. So she gets his security badge out of the prize counter, which is crazy that we have security badges at the prize counter. That's crazy. To be able to be a Freddy Fazbear security guard is like the attraction. That's strange. They leave. It's 6 a.m. again. Vanessa tells him, like, don't let the place get to you. Kind of a weird place. Just do your job and you'll be fine. And, you know, I would like to say, if you know about Phone Guy in Night 4 and 5, I think he specifically would beg to differ. But while they're talking outside, we see that Jeff is waiting, and we get to the treacherous activity. And also, where the fun and drama actually start. We have our crew of traitors and delinquents. This is Max. Traitor. This is Max's brother, Jeff. He's got a crowbar in hand. This is their friend, Hank. And this is their friend, Carl. All four of them are here to ransack Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, like the traitors and enemies to childhood whimsy they are. They start going around. They're destroying the place completely. They're breaking glass. They're just going all the fuck out. It's actually pretty crazy how hard they go. But obviously, you can't walk into Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and get away with destroying childhood dreams like that if you're not the main character. I would argue that falling asleep is the same thing to a certain extent, but Mike gets a pass because he's the main character. These motherfuckers, however, do not. So we start with Carl. He goes into the kitchen. By the way, his shirt is another Easter egg. This is a mini game from Fnaf 6 Pizza Sim. It is named Midnight Motorist, and it is a little lore drop game. I appreciate the little Easter egg, but he goes into the kitchen. I don't have any graphics for you because I'm surprised that they got away with what they did in a PG-13 movie. I'm gonna leave that for you to watch because, again, this is not meant to be a replacement for the media I'm covering. It's just meant to be me sitting here going into very intricate detail and hyper-fixating for a really long time. But I will describe them to you. Carl goes into the kitchen, which, if you're at all familiar with the games, the kitchen is Chica's territory. So Chica's waiting for his ass. And he gets absolutely shredded from his face by her little friend named Mr. Cupcake. There was a very long running gag in the fandom. I don't remember who started it. It could have been one of the Let's Players, to be honest, but for a long time people thought the Cupcake's name was Carl. So it is pretty funny that Mr. Cupcake kills him to just be like, no, my name is Mr. Cupcake. It was never Carl. Fuck this guy. I don't know this guy. But yeah, Chica was waiting for him. She scares the fuck out of him, and he just gets his face completely mangled by the fucking Cupcake animatronic, which is iconic and also terrifying. Like, imagine of all the FNAF animatronics to die to, it was the Cupcake. That's gotta be embarrassing. But you know, he's a big fan of the Soupinator. I think tomato soup might actually be his favorite flavor. So good for him. I'm glad he's well fed. We cut to Hank. He's in the dining area and he's going around. He's scared because he hears Carl screaming as his face is just ripped to fucking shreds. Poor guy. And he starts running and screaming the entire time. Got another noisy Nelson on our hands, guys. And then his dumbass goes into Bonnie's territory, the supply closet. That's Bonnie's favorite room. Y'all don't do your research. If you literally just learned a singular thing about the movie that you are currently in and the games behind the movie you're currently in, you would have survived. Everybody knows that Chica's in the kitchen all the time and Bonnie loves the supply closet. He's just a really big fan of brooms, just everything in the supply closet. But you went in there and obviously Bonnie was in there waiting for his ass, so Bonnie kills him off screen. We don't get to really see any of it. We just see him turning around, seeing Bonnie who's glaring at him, and then there's a blood smear on the door. Rest in pieces, Hank. You would have loved Noisy Nelson. I'm sure you would have gotten along very well with him. After that, we got Jeff. He goes into the office and he is about to destroy the monitors with the crowbar that he was wielding when they first got there. But he stopped because he sees Hank running and screaming. So he is watching everything. And then he sees on the cameras that Bonnie and Chica are waiting outside the vents. And Chica has her plate that Mr. Cupcake sits in. And both she and Bonnie look directly into the camera. And Mr. Cupcake jumps into the vent shaft. And as we know from the beginning of the movie, the vents lead into the office. So Mr. Cupcake books it to the fucking office, scares the shit out of Jeff and us by extension. The jump scares aren't always like super great, but some of them do still get me. If they're just so loud. They're just so loud, they scare me sometimes. But he does manage to hold off Mr. Cupcake until he gets bored and just fucking leaves. So you might think like, oh, is Jeff gonna survive? Absolutely not. What the hell? The animatronics would never, ever let a traitor like this live. So don't worry. He does still die. And they deserve it because I still cannot believe that y'all orchestrated this entire thing for $1,000 fucking dollars. 1,000 fucking, that's not, what is that by? What? Like 1 month of rent, maybe? Like, it's destroying a little girl's life and an entire family for this shit. Y'all deserve to die. So Foxy gets his ass because Foxy loves killing. Foxy loves killing. He loves slicing bitches with his hook, as he deserves. There's like a whole chase sequence with him going down the employee hallways. He stole all of the coins from the arcade like that was gonna do anything, but they start falling out of his bag while he's running in the hallway. So he again is making like a shitload of noise. Nobody who dies in this movie knows how to be fucking quiet, I swear. It is not a mystery how you people die. But he's running down the hallway, and Foxy, thankfully, does get him until finally all we're left with is Max. And listen, Max gets arguably the coolest death. She is lured by one of the kids. We hear them talking to her, and you follow her, you know, through again the same fucking hallway, and she's led to the room that has the supinator. But she is not put into the supinator. Instead, we see Freddy standing there, and the kid that possesses Freddy is playing hot and cold with her because they actually showed themselves to her, so she'd follow them back here. And she is confused and concerned because somehow, I mean, at least she does have a heart. Like, she is at least worried that a child is apparently stuck in here. So she follows him to Freddy, and there's a chair in front of Freddy, and she tries to look inside of Freddy, and she gets way too close, and his mouth chomps. Was that? No, it was the bite of 2000. But she is bitten clean in fucking half, y'all. It's crazy. He bites her at the bottom of her torso. What the hell? You only see it in shadow, but it's pretty fucking crazy. And honestly, really iconic. We did get a bite. We got the bite of 2000, y'all. We got the bite of 83, the bite of 87, and the bite of 2000. If there's one thing I know about Freddy and his friends is that they love biting. They always be biting. Good for them. Good for them. Stay biting. Stay biting. Everyone did such a spectacular job. Thank you for taking out those traitors. We are better off without them. Aunt Jane deserves not a single ally. She deserves to remain the aunt bitch that she is. Thank you for your service, Freddy Fazbear. The world is a better place because of you. But obviously, you know, this means that Max isn't gonna come to work. Unfortunately, she went out for a permanent bite to eat. So Mike is like panicking. He doesn't know what to do. Abby is in the living room drawing while she watches cartoons, and he tries to have like a heart-to-heart with her, asking her what she's drawing, and she just ignores him. He tries to like get her attention by offering her his security badge that Vanessa gave him last night, saying like, oh my god, it's so cool, right? And this is where we see how he actually talks to Abby. I was saying earlier that there's a distinction. This is the distinction. He's using the tone of voice that he always uses with Abby in this scene, which is why the beginning of the movie stands out so much, because when he is in at least enough of a frame of mind that he can bear to be himself with Abby, you know, he's very sweet and he's very gentle with her. So he's trying to have a heart-to-heart with her. He's talking to her very gently, and she just is like, I don't care. I don't care. She's upset with him right now. She doesn't want to have to deal with Max. She wants to go with him. She wants to go with him. She wants to meet Freddy Fazbear. And I will defend her. I too would want to meet Freddy Fazbear, you know? He's still clearly kind of hoping that Max will come back so that he can have her watch Abby, but she doesn't. Mike just kind of gets up, takes the badge back. He puts it in the same drawer that he put the custody papers in earlier in the movie. So obviously, as soon as he leaves the room, just exasperatedly telling Abby, like, I'm trying my best, okay? Abby goes straight to the fucking drawer, and she struggles to get it open because it's clearly one of those drawers where stuff is not laid out enough for it to not tug every time you open it. So obviously she sees the fucking papers as the drawer slams on the ground. So Mike comes running out because he's like, what happened? Are you okay? And she's holding the papers, and she is heartbroken because of course she is. All she knows is that this is papers saying that she will be signed away custody to the aunt that she fucking hates. And so Mike is like freaking the fuck out, of course, and he's like, there's just papers, all right? They don't mean anything. And Abby is like, well, why do you have them? And he tries to be like, well, that's complicated. Aunt Jane, he starts. And then Abby replies that she hates her. She's mean and she smells like cigarettes. So we get direct confirmation from Abby that she is also an Aunt Jane hater. She is so iconic and real for that. She just like me for real, for real. I too despise that hoe. Thank you, Abby. She is mean and she probably does smell like cigarettes. Stale as fuck too. Mike chuckles, but Abby's not joking with him. She kind of it just stares at him and he's like, you know, I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because we finally agree on something. So, you know, everybody hates her. All my homies hate Aunt Jane. She is Aunt Jane the bitch. She just is. She's an evil, 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 evil bitch. There's a knock at the door and it's Vanessa. Hi, Vanessa. Welcome back, Vanessa. Mike opens the door. Abby's still in the room, so she gets to meet Abby. And at first she's like, Mike didn't tell me that he had a daughter. And Abby goes, ew. Because no, that's not my daughter. That's my little sister. And then she iconically asks if Vanessa is here to arrest him. Unfortunately, she is not. But I'm glad that she has the same priorities as me. She is literally me, for real, for real. But Mike, you know, sends Abby to go to her room so they can talk. Vanessa reveals the reason that she's here. His sleep crimes are finally being acknowledged. What is this, Mike? What is this? Why was your bottle of sleep medication at the fucking Freddy Fazbear's pizza desk? What the hell, Mike? And then she tells him that Freddy's was ransacked and it's his job to protect them and protect the joint. So he's freaking out internally. He's not really a person who freaks out visually that much, you know? So they go on a walk, they go to a ditch, and they have a conversation, and they both pretty, like, detailedly open up to each other. While they're sitting here, he does actually open up about Garrett, and again, I just want to like call attention to the way that Mike is actually presented visually in the movie. His hair is always a mess. He has very distinct eye bags. His clothes are baggy, but not in a way of like he got a size too big. They're baggy in the way of being worn. Because once your clothes start getting really worn out, they get loose and they get baggy. And I just really appreciate that it is very visually represented that he is doing absolutely shit in the situation, which is like accurate, you know? One of the things that I really appreciate about this movie is that, yeah, it's funny and it's, yay, it's Fnaf, but actually the way that they portray trauma is pretty genuine and pretty damn realistic. As a person who is very familiar with the true and visible toll that trauma can take on your appearance and just your entire demeanor, I feel very seen by this movie. I really do. I feel seen by both Mike and Vanessa. Abby's still a kid, and she's clearly the kind of kid who would rather focus on the positives rather than the negatives. But any adults in this movie that have to deal with the trials and tribulations of the rippling effects of everything that's going on in the like backstory of the movies has a visible toll, and I just appreciate that. It's very much an attention to detail, and I always love feeling seen. Like, man, I too am so tired. I don't brush my hair anymore either. I just hope that all of my knots disappear in the bath, and they usually do. So yeah, I've been there. I have been there. But he tells her about Garrett. He explains to her about the dream theory, all of that kind of stuff. And she asks him, you know, because he says that he's trying to relive, as we heard Jeremiah saying when he read the excerpt, he is trying to go back to the day that Garrett was kidnapped so that he can change it or just never let himself leave that moment because it's still haunting him, you know? So she asks him, you know, do you think you saw who took him? He says, you know I did, and I know he's in there. It's just buried. So every night I dream and I go back to that same memory and I search for details, for any little thing that got overlooked. And you can really see in his eyes that the guilt that he is carrying is genuine. And Mike says, you know, this is the part where people usually call me crazy. And Vanessa just says, that isn't crazy, Mike. I know what crazy looks like. And boy, does she. Yeah, she does. And she just says, this isn't it. This isn't even close. True. It is just, you're just traumatized, Mike. You're just traumatized. But her expression is like, I know where you're at, you know? I've had this emotion too. So it's appreciated for sure. He continues explaining his backstory, telling her new details that we didn't have before. Their mom died not too long ago, and their dad couldn't handle it. And he doesn't finish the sentence, but obviously the implication is that the father is no longer here either. And again, I appreciate that the movie has the like depth to be able to imply this sort of thing. Like, it's a level of maturity. He doesn't have to finish the sentence. You can tell what his fate probably is just based off of Mike's demeanor, and I appreciate that detail. So, you know, Mike Telliver, he kind of reminisces almost that when he and Garrett were younger, his parents were perfect. They were such a good family, the kind of parents that seem so perfect they could only come from TV, basically. And that they'd always eat dinner together as a family, actually at the table. And Vanessa kind of looks wistfully, like she also wishes that she could remember times like that more vividly still, but no. She reminds him, though, that he and Abby still have each other, which is true and a good point. And then after this is her throwing his fucking pills into the ditch. Vanessa, I would kill you. I would strangle you. What are we doing? Vanessa, that's not you can't do that. You can't. Just because he's sleeping on the job does not mean that you get to take away his sleeping pills completely, okay? Vanessa, what the fuck? God. That's where the scene ends, after she tells him stop sleeping on the job. Insane. And obviously, Max never shows up. So we get to all go to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza together. Yay! 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 Yippee! We're all here! Mike tries to be like, listen, Abby, this is not a vacation. We are not here to have fun. I'm going to work and you are going to sleep. And she just goes, okay. But she's obviously so fucking excited. She's looking directly at Freddy, the same way that I always look at Freddy, just with a big smile. She's so excited, as she deserves to be. They go into the building together, hand in hand. He almost always holds Abby's hand if they're walking together, which is again a nice detail to show that he's always trying to protect her. But obviously the place is ruined because of those fucking bastards, and Abby's kind of scared and freaked out. So again, Mike takes her hand again so that they can walk to the office together and she can feel safe knowing that they don't have to run into the mess. But she does ask, like, you know, what happened? Who would do this? Evil bitches who are thankfully no longer with us. Thank you for your service, Freddy and friends. So we go to the office and he makes her a little fort. That's one of the things that you gotta know about Abby. It's like genuinely one of her defining traits of the first movie. She loves sports. This is tablecloths from the dining area. Sun and moon, very on brand for me. Thank you, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. This is a little fort so that she can sleep, and she has her own little place that she can sit and sleep in, and it's very sweet. Mike tucks her in. He starts exploring the place, see what the damage was. He goes to the supply closet, and we see that unfortunately Bonnie missed a spot because the animatronics did at least have the courtesy to clean up the bodies so that they're not just where they died. They're not in areas that are just exposed to the average person. And they cleaned up the blood, but Bonnie missed a spot. spot on the door. So that's pretty ominous, but who knows? Maybe that could be ketchup. We didn't see it. Don't worry about it. And then there's another Balloon Boy jump scare. And once again, Mike is the most iconic person ever. Gets annoyed, turns his ass around. Deserved, as you should always do with Balloon Boy. Shame you can't turn him around in the games. He deserves it. So obviously the place is a mess. We're in the supply closet so that Mike can get cleaning supplies, and there's like a whole cleaning montage, and it's pretty satisfying because, you know, that is one of the things he was told to do. For once, he is actually keeping to doing his job. He's cleaning the place, which Mr. Raglan explicitly told him to do. So congratulations, Mike. You finally did your job. One singular part of it, but you did it, and I'm proud of you. We see when he's in the dining room, finally cleaning up all of the chairs, putting them back together quite neatly. But we have a shot where we're looking through the curtains, so clearly the animatronics are watching him. But it doesn't matter because he goes back to sleep. I can't praise this man for 5 seconds. I can't praise this man for 5 seconds. He goes back to sleep. You have Abby here with you. You can't at least stay awake to make sure nothing happens to her. No. He goes to sleep again. So obviously, eventually, Abby wakes up. Of course she does. And she's woken up by noises happening. And she goes over to Mike and she's shaking him. Nothing happens. He has no idea that she was just woken up by one of the ghost children. Because yes, this is the time where I confirmed they're ghost children. They woke her up. Mike is asleep. He cannot protect her. So she is like, I'm gonna be right back. And she goes to the restroom. She's so proud of herself. It's so sweet. And she's looking around because now, you know, it looks like how it should. It's back in order. And obviously, you know, we see the animatronics are watching her, right? And I will say, I do appreciate this angle because it really does show you how tall they are. Like, you were at Freddy's eye line looking down at a child. They are so tall. They are so tall. You would feel so afraid as a child dealing with these animatronics if they were hostile. But thankfully, because she is a baby, of course, she is spared. But we do see Freddy starting to walk out. His eyes are glowing and he's walking towards her. And then we cut back to Mike, and the dream is completely different now. There is no scene with his family. There is no multiple children. It is just him spawning in as an adult with the boy who is wearing the brown and yellow sweater. And he's drawing. He's drawing in the dirt. How interesting. So Mike is like, you're those kids, right? The ones who disappeared, the ones that Vanessa was alluding to earlier. And he pleads with the kid again, you know, like, please help me find the man that took my brother. And for the first time, actually, he is spoken to by the child. So he offers him a deal. If we show you, what will you give us? And Mike just instantly goes, anything. I'll give you anything you want. Mike, you can't say that. You can't say that when some sort of paranormal entity is offering you something. Why would you say, Mike? But that's what he says. That's what he says. And then he hears screaming in the distance, and the boy is gone. We see that he drew a rabbit in the sand. And I just would like you to acknowledge that it is the exact same style as the image we saw at the beginning in the opening credits. Keep that in mind. Mike wakes up. For once, he was not awoken by some sort of pain. He was just awoken by screaming in real life. Because there, like I said, was a girl screaming. It's Abby. So he freaks the fuck out and he books it out of the fucking office again. And y'all, listen, okay? You have to understand. This is my favorite part in the entire movie. It is so good. It is so stupidly funny. I love it so much. It gets me every time. Mike goes out to the dining room. He sees Abby in the middle of the entire crew. They're all standing around her. And he's obviously freaking the fuck out. So he grabs a chair And Freddy turns to him and starts walking over to him, clearly pissed, like, bitch, you're gonna grab a chair? I'm Freddy fucking Fazbear, okay? Your chair does not fucking scare me. As soon as Freddy starts walking, Mike's expression changes, like, oh, I am so fucked. Oh my god, they're actually so big, and their feet sound so heavy because they're only made of metal, and I am so fucking screwed. The panic that overtakes him is so visible, and it's so fucking funny. And Freddy just stares him down like, God, dude, this is pathetic. Really? This is pathetic. What do you think that's gonna do? What do you think a chair is gonna do? You think a chair scares me? Do you understand the things that I have seen? No. No, you don't. But Abby hears him, you know, and notices him and is like, Mike! And she's all happy. She's fine. She was safe. They were just tickling her because they're friends now. And because Abby knows him, Freddy turns nice and he's polite again. And we get to see them all up close and personal for the first time. But Mike doesn't appreciate it the way that he should. Instead, he just looks around. He's panicking. The camera's circling around him and he's like, what the fuck is going on? Where I know there's somebody like fucking with me. There's someone there, you know? There's definitely someone controlling them, right? Which, technically, if you're getting behind the scenes moment, they have two animatronic suits. One is an actual animatronic, and one is an animatronic suit that they can wear for the scenes where an animatronic would not be able to perform. So there are technically people controlling them sometimes, but he doesn't get to know that. He doesn't get to know that. He's not cool enough to know that. He never does his research. So why would he know? The only one that is completely free of an actual actor is Foxy, because Foxy has so many parts that are like exposed wiring and stuff. It just wouldn't be safe for a human to be in there. So Foxy does actually have a rig, but Mike is like, there's gotta be someone controlling them, you know? But there's no one. So instead, he's just like, Abby, we gotta go. I'm fucking scared out of my fucking mind, bro. We gotta go. And Abby is like, okay, but wait. And she draws a heart for Bonnie. And Bonnie offers the hand so that she can have a heart. It's so sweet. She gives him his heart. Ah, it's so sweet. She says they really like pictures, which is true. And as you'll recall, pictures are just as important to them as they are for Abby, like the counselor said earlier. So it's a nice little touch. And then she hugs Freddy, and Freddy hugs her back. God, I wish that was me. I wish I could hug Freddy Fazbear so bad it would heal me. It would heal me. But no, I don't get to hug Freddy. He does hug her back though. It's so sweet, isn't it? I love it so much. So Freddy hugs Abby, and then they leave Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Very unfortunate. Go back home. And Mike tucks Abby into bed, which is so sweet. And then he sits at her desk and he's thinking about what just happened, because that was pretty crazy. And then he realizes something. The pictures that she's drawing of her friends are the same children that he's been seeing in his dreams. Isn't that interesting? That's crazy. So we go to the next day, and Mike makes Abby a grilled cheese. She is so real for requesting a grilled cheese, the best snack, of course. And we get another scene where Mike really goes out of his way to talk to her, like, super duper gently. This is kind of the softest tone that he has in the entire movie, and I think it's very important to emphasize that, as you will see in a moment, because of the subject matter of the conversation. So as she's eating, they're talking, and he brings up her friends. He asks pretty directly, like, are they? And she's just like, ghosts? And he's like, yeah. And she just very matter-of-factly goes, of course, how else would the robots move? True! You know, it really is that simple. It really is that simple. It just makes sense. Of course they're ghosts. How else would they make the robots move? So true, Abby. She is so real for that. Mike goes back into the kitchen because Abby asks for more soup because she was actually having a grilled cheese and tomato soup. Interesting. It is not soup from the Soupinator, though, thankfully. It is soup that he's making on the stove. But while he's in the kitchen and thus out of her line of sight, he actually asks you know, do you remember that we used to have a brother? His name was Garrett. She's like, yeah, you know, he is. She points out that neither him nor their parents really talk about him much. Understandably so. She's clearly a child that has enough emotional awareness to not want to pry into such discussions. That's appreciated. He then sits back down at the table with her and pulls out one of her drawings. And clearly, it's meant to be a depiction of the day that Garrett got taken. And she's clearly shaken up because she knows that's what it's meant to portray. And she's afraid that she's going to be in trouble. But again, this is a scene where Mike is very, very gentle with her. He very much makes an effort to keep his tone level. There is not a shred of anger or even like accusatory nature to his tone at all. He's just simply asking her about what the picture is. Does she know what it's depicting? And he just wants to know. He just wants to know because, you know, nobody else has really acknowledged it. Their parents aren't around to acknowledge it anymore. He doesn't talk about it much himself. And he's been seeing her friends in his dreams. So they clearly do know who Garrett was taken by. And Abby sits there scared, but Mike again, super gentle with her. And he just tells her, I just want to know if they know who took Garrett. He also like does this little gesture where he's like, think really hard. It's just so sweet. The way that he talks to her is so gentle. I love it so much. But she tells him no, and he gets disappointed because, you know, upsetting for him. All she can tell him is that he was taken by a yellow rabbit. That's all we know. But Abby says, after seeing how disappointed he is, I can ask. And so it's implied that she will when we go back to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. But Vanessa is there first. And she's clearly having a moment. She's dissociating, basically. She's trauma processing, staring at the drawings in front of her, freaking the fuck out. We hear children screaming. It's just a whole fucking moment, right? So then when Mike shows up for work, he sees that Vanessa's car is there and he asks Abby if she'll stay in the car, and she's like, no. But she doesn't stay in the car. They go inside, they see Vanessa, she hears them coming in, so we don't get to see, you know, any more of that moment. Abby runs straight over to the crew, of course. Iconic. Me too. I would also run straight to Freddy. And again, Foxy's so happy. It's so sweet. He gets so visibly excited. They're so good. I love them so much. Oh my goodness. But while Abby is talking with the crew, we get a little moment between Mike and Vanessa where Mike is like, you knew about this. And she's like, yes, you figured it out. And Mike says, ghost children haunting giant robots? Thanks for the heads up. And that line was in the trailer, and it's just as funny in context as it is in the trailer. It's so good. I love it so much. Very logical, yeah, truly. After that, though, Abby informs them that she and the crew have a very important task for them. And we get another one of my favorite scenes. We must build a fort. As you remember, Abby loves forts. And we want a fort. And she says, you know, it's got to be big so that we can all fit inside and we can have a nice little sleepover montage moment, basically. And Mike tries to be like, doesn't that sound like kind of dangerous? And Vanessa is just like, we can use tables for the fort. Just not caring. But everyone besides Mike is so excited, including me. Fort creation montage. And this is like, honestly, again, please watch the movie because this scene is so impressive. The amount of like things that the animatronics do in this scene is crazy. They're picking up tables, they're picking up chairs. It's so impressive. I cannot believe how detailed the animatronics actually are, you know, to be able to actually lift things, even if it's just for a small little frame. That's very impressive to me. I love it so much. But with everyone's combined efforts, the fort is complete. And Bonnie and Foxy place the final piece down, and then Bonnie collapses from exhaustion. And obviously, Abby's like, oh my God, are you okay? But it's okay. He's okay. He gave a thumbs up, everybody. We're good. We're good. And then we get a picture of them all standing in the fort, and it's so cute. This is like such like perfect wallpaper moment, you know? It's very sweet. God, I wish that was me, etc., etc. Yeah, so they sit under the fort, and then Vanessa says that they should, you know, have the tablecloths on the fort. So she's gonna go check in the storage room for him, and Mike offers to follow her. So they do. They go back to the storage closet again, where Noisy Nelson was before, but not the room that Noisy Nelson died in, just the storage closet that leads to other places. While they're back there, we see this contraption here, another spring lock suit, and Mike tries to reach his hand in there, and Vanessa takes the broom and shows him why he should not do that, and the broom snaps in half. Don't do that, Mike. Freaks him the fuck out. She's still being kind of weird. So Mike points it out, questions her, like, why? You know so much more than you're fucking leading me on. Yeah, Ellie from the books. Yeah! You know so much more than you're leading on. Like, you know that you're so familiar with this place. You knew about the lore. You didn't tell me about the... Why didn't you tell me more information about the missing show? All this sort of stuff. So they're talking, and Mike, you know, points out, like, if this place is so dangerous, like, why didn't you tell me that? And Vanessa's like, well, you're the one who brought Abby here, which is true. He didn't have a choice, but, like, still a good point to make, right? And Mike explains that when he's here, he feels closer to Garrett. It feels even more vivid than it does when he's at home. As he's trying to explain it, he says that he could almost change what happened, which is like so heartbreaking for him to actually say out loud. And so Vanessa asks, you know, have you asked the crew about it, basically? And he says that he's tried, but they don't like him. They like Abby. Which is true. And also so real of them. Vanessa, like, lashes out at him. And she's just like, you need to let what happened go, you know? And it's like clearly in a way of, I just care about you, man. I'm trying, like, you can't focus on this shit so much. It's gonna ruin you, like, almost from experience, you know? He kind of shuts it down, and she just clarifies that she's someone who's trying to help, but, well, doesn't matter. They go back out. Mike is like, what the fuck? She's like all pissed off and shit now. And Abby is on stage, and they're having a dance party. While we're dancing, oh my god, she's having such a good time. Look at her, she's so happy. It's so sweet. Look, she's having the time of her life. I would too, getting to dance with Freddie and the crew. But she goes on stage, and she's about to strum Bonnie's guitar, and Vanessa obviously freaks the fuck out because, as you'll recall earlier, Bonnie's guitar sparks when you strum it. So Vanessa calls out to her, but Abby strums it, and she gets shocked, and she falls down. And obviously Mike and Vanessa are freaking the fuck out, but she is okay. She is okay. She's lived. Thank goodness. And obviously, you know, this was terrifying, and Abby's shaken. So Vanessa holds her, and it's a very sweet moment. And then we cut to them leaving, and before they leave, Mike and Vanessa talk outside. And, you know, he tries to point out, like, the way that you're acting is so weird. There was like a visible fear in your eyes in the storage room. Like, what are you so afraid of? And she not only dodges the question, but very explicitly tells him, you can do whatever you want with your life, but if you ever bring Abby back here, I will shoot you. So clearly Mike's hit a very bad nerve, but she means it. You can tell she means it. Look at the passion burning in her eyes. She is not fucking around. And she walks away after Mike gets back into the car. Abby is watching them, and when he sits back down, she asks, she was so angry at you. Why does everyone look at you that way? And Mike doesn't respond, but the like expression that he gives is just so heartbreaking. Like, Abby is a clearly observant child, and observant children really do point out stuff that you're just like, oh my god, why would you make me aware of that? Just heartbreaking. Poor guy. He cannot catch a fucking break. And oh my god, Mike, I've been there, buddy. I be knowing that shit. But we go back home. Mike is once again sitting in front of the phone, empty-handed. And unfortunately, I mean, you know what unfortunately means this time, right? We see him visibly pissed off that he has to resort to this. But again, Vanessa meant what she fucking said. So he's not gonna risk it. And because Max is, you know, in her permanent bite to eat, he has no choice but to call in the bitch. And the way that he sighs and just is such a mood. That is also how I feel, knowing that she's gonna be on screen again, and then she's on screen again not long after, because he calls her and he's so pissed off the whole time. He's so fucking real. I love it so much. So he's calling her, assumingly right after they got home, so that she can watch Abby tomorrow. He makes bacon in the morning to try to soften the blow, but obviously that is not gonna work. Even as he greets her in bed, and she's so happy and so sweet, and it is just instantaneously ripped away. As soon as she sees that Aunt Bitch is here, she looks at them with just such sheer terror, disbelief, and betrayal in her eyes. Rightfully so, because as you'll recall, she didn't just say that she dislikes Aunt Jane. She said she hates her. She is mean and she smells like cigarettes. This is not a person that Abby feels safe with at all. And she's already dealing with fear that Mike is going to, you know, in the mind of a child, get rid of her and hand her over to Aunt Jane. Mike in this moment can say that that's not what he wants and that's not what he intends all day. All Abby knows in this moment, though, is that she's not able to go back to Freddy's with her, and instead of letting her go back to Freddy's with him, he has called on the one person that Abby has told him directly she hates, and pretty explicitly implying through the way that she portrayed that statement that she does not feel safe with Aunt Jane. This is through and through an absolute fucking betrayal. So his attempts to be like, please, you know, Abby, please just sit down, you know, this isn't what you think it is, fall on deaf ears. And of course, you know, obviously, Aunt Bitch is sitting there, or well, I guess standing there, and makes a like snarky ass comment I didn't even bother putting in the script because it wasn't worth it. And obviously, Abby just doesn't want to listen. She screams that she hates him, and then she runs off to her room, and she's justifiably pissed. And she takes her marker and she starts scribbling his face out of all of her pictures of him. And then in the kitchen, Aunt Jane is like, when you get back, because Mike tries to leave, he's like, when you get back, we have a very important conversation to have. No, we fucking don't. This is the worst day that I've ever witnessed someone have. This bitch. She's like obnoxious the entire fucking scene, but it is honestly not even worth giving her enough airtime to get in a word, okay? Mike leaves, because he doesn't have a choice but to leave. He's at the pharmacy now and he's getting another prescription of his sleep meds. Y'all, this scene pisses me off. While he's getting his pills, the pharmacist reads the pills that they are, and he makes one of those fucking comments that's like, oh, drinking chamomile always helps for me. Nobody fucking asked. And as a person who has insomnia, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. If it was as easy as drinking tea, I would never have sleep problems again. But unfortunately, I do have insomnia and I have to deal with idiots like you. Mike obviously is having none of it. He just snatches the pills out of his hand and leaves in a huff. And the actual line is, what an asshole, from the pharmacist. Excuse me, sir? No, actually, you know what? Very funny that asshole was dropped in the movie directly. But no, he's not. You're the pharmacist. Go back to bedside manner classes. Like, what are we doing? Thinking that you have any right to tell a patient, like, oh, you're on sleep medication? Well, you should just try some tea. Bitch, if tea worked, I wouldn't be on sleep medication, would I? Shut up. He is not an asshole. You are. Learn your fucking place. Go back to school, all right? Anyway, he's going back to commit the sleep crime because he just can't help himself. The dream is different again. And this time, it's kind of gut-wrenching. Because instead, it just starts with him being an adult and his family at the table. Garrett's still here. His dad is picking him up, playing airplane with him. And it's basically a scene that plays out where it's how the day could have gone if Garrett was never taken. And it obviously fucks with Mike. He looks over it and he's like clearly tearing up. It is really hard for him to see this because that's always like the most painful part of trauma, you know? Realizing that if parallel universes are real in any capacity, there is a parallel universe version of you that never went through the things that you did in this universe. It didn't have to be this way. It just unfortunately was. And that's always super painful. So Mike is kind of processing aloud and he's like, no, this isn't right. This isn't what happened. And, you know, his parents are none the wiser. Neither is Garrett even. They're just interacting with him, talking to him, and suddenly the blonde boy and the rest of the children appear behind him and he's talking again. And when Mike says, you know, this isn't right, this isn't how it happened, the blonde boy just simply says, it could be, you know? And they sort of go into a back and forth conversation. And Mike tries to say, you know, this isn't what he wants. He just wants to find the man who essentially ruined his entire family's life. But, like, the blonde boy is just like, you know, you're lying. What you really want is to change things, to save Garrett. And he points back to the family as Mike tries to say, you know, I can't, they're gone, they're all gone, but they're here. They are here in the dream. And I will say, very impressive ploy, because man, if someone did this to me with my trauma, I would also be defeated. Like, this is fucked up for even a child to think of, but they're children who are fueled by rage, you know, they're missing. You will find out later that they were murdered. And so all they have left is their never-ending rage because their lives were cut short. They didn't get to grow up. They didn't get to learn the emotional maturity that you need to have to not pull this sort of stuff on people. You know, they're just kids. They're just operating out of their rage. And they know that this is a way to pull at his heartstrings and to manipulate him into giving him what they want. You know, they have him in the palm of his hand And it's just really, really tragic. So they point out, you said we could have whatever we wanted. We want Abby. And in the moment, obviously it really fucks with Mike. He starts crying. He doesn't really know what to do in the moment. And to just make it as gut wrenching as possible, the kid clearly manipulates his family to talk. And his mother tells him, it's time to let her go, sweetheart. You were never the right person to take care of her, which is so fucked up. Like, oh my God. Holy shit, they are not fucking around. Truly. But it works. It obviously works. He's so fucked up. He's crying. And he just goes, okay, yes. And then we see him brush Garrett's hair out of his face. And we flash back to a moment that is not the same as the one that we saw earlier in the movie, but a different instance of him brushing Abby's hair out of his face. And then in an instant, he realizes what he's done, what he's said. He's exchanged his baby sister for his baby brother. His baby sister is still very much real and alive. And his brother is someone who can only be with in his dreams. And he obviously freaks the fuck out. But the kids are gone now. His decision has been made. It was final. He cannot take it back. And then he looks around and they start taunting him. They're running around him, laughing because they've gotten what they wanted. And they start attacking him as he screams in anger and rage to stay away from my sister. But it doesn't matter. They scratch him. They rip him to shreds. He falls to his knees in pain and is left to just sit in the center of the forest of his dream, knowing that he has made a terrible decision. His dreams affect reality. What happens in the dream happens in real life. And we see that Foxy is roaming the halls again. We see his feet. We hear him. And this time, when Mike wakes up, he's in the supinator chair. He's in the fucking supinator chair. It's so over. Can you believe it? That's where the movie ends. No, I'm just fucking with you. It's not where it ends. And you know what? For all the shit that Noisy Nelson did wrong as his cameo as the first person killed in the Fnaf movie, he was good for something. Because Mike is able to actually get out of the chair through the loosened screw that Noisy Nelson loosened earlier in the movie. So good for Mike. He gets out. And after he gets out, we see the remains of everyone that was killed earlier. And we get to see Sparky again. It's him. It's actual Sparky right here. Can you believe it? Hi, Sparky. Please ignore the rest of the mangled bodies surrounding him. All that matters is that Sparky is here and he's a real canon animatronic now. Good for you, Sparky. Good for you, Sparky. We're all so proud of you, King. You've come so far. Good for you, King. Good for you. So, obviously after that, though, Mike fucking books it, and Foxy is on the prowl, chasing his ass. I do just want to point out this poster because it made me laugh so hard. Leaning Tower of Pisa. It's so stupid. I love it so much. But anyway, back to seriousness. Foxy is chasing Mike's ass down once again through the employee hallway. He gets to the door that Noisy Nelson failed to open earlier, screaming all the while because Foxy is fucking booking it towards him. But thankfully, he does get the door open and he escaped. Thank goodness. We cut back to Abby. She's home, playing with her Etch-a-Sketch, locked up in her room because, Aunt Bitch is here. Oh, my homies hate Aunt Bitch. Oh! She tries to go to Abby out of her room, but Abby obviously ignores her, as we all should. As we all should. So she goes back to the living room and she's watching a Chia Pet commercial, which is fun. Chia. I wonder if she has the Shaggy one. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. We'll never know. Because we see behind her a bear. And you may be thinking, oh shit, Alice, isn't that Freddy Fazbear? No, this is Golden Freddy. Fredbear, really. But we all call him Golden Freddy in the fandom. And he's here. Welcome him in. So iconic to see him. And then we hear a thud. And it obviously makes Abby come out of her room like, the fuck, what's going on? And this is where we get the reveal, as Abby gets excited as soon as she sees Golden Freddy, that the kid that has been like the main child throughout the dreams was not Freddy Fazbear. He has always been the child that is possessing a Golden Freddy, not Freddy Fazbear. Two different characters. And I really appreciate that this is sort of foreshadowed through his sweater. You know, the fact that he's wearing both brown and yellow, and he's a blonde child as well. It really does portray to you that he is Golden Freddy if you're paying enough attention. But this is the part where they actually pretty much explicitly confirm it, which is really nice and really cool. I love that little level of detail. So, you know, we see that Aunt Jane was bodied as she deserves to be, and the kid's just like, oh my god, silly Aunt Jane, haha, she fell asleep. And I wish she fell asleep forever, I really do, but unfortunately she does not die. So she's not in the second movie at all, thankfully, but the first time that I watched the movie I really thought she was dead, and then I realized that they say in the second movie that she's alive, she's just in a mental hospital. God damn it. The kid is like, well, we gotta go to Freddy's. You know, obviously we gotta go. And Abby's like, well, how do we get there? And then we get Corey X Kenshin in the movie playing the cab driver. If you are unfamiliar with Corey, he is an actual Let's Player. He's not like exclusively a FNAF Let's Player. He does kind of like horror games in general now. God, good for him. Very glad to see him. There was meant to also be a Markiplier cameo, actually. He was meant to be Noisy Nelson in the beginning, but he was filming Iron Lung at the time of the first movie filming. So he has not been in a FNAF movie yet, but he is planned to be. We saw earlier Matt Pat's in the movie. The Easter egg that I was unable to include earlier because it is not really shown in the movie itself. It's kind of just an Easter egg that you know if you watch the YouTubers that are part of the Easter egg, but there's actually an Employees of the Month like board that sits in the hallway right outside of the office, and there's a bunch of YouTubers who got their start or like their big break playing FNAF. So that's so much fun. I love that cameo so much. Corey's great. So after that, we see that apparently Mike passed the fuck out after escaping, because now we're in a police storage weird place. She calls it a supply outpost. I've never heard of that before, but it's a police outpost. She's bandaged Mike up. Good for her. Very proud. Very proud. And they get to talking. Mike points out that they literally did try to kill him. They literally tried to turn him into tomato soup. So now it's not like not just like, oh, they just don't like me. They hate his ass. They tried to kill his ass. They tried to turn him into tomato soup. Terrifying, right? So Q points this out by saying like, they tried to kill me, Vanessa, but you knew that already, didn't you? And unfortunately, this is true because she did fail to give him this information, and we have another traitor in our midst through this interaction. And they're talking. She's just trying to be like, it's complicated. And he points out that he's seen the bodies of Max and the rest of them, and their bodies, their remains are gnarly. Their remains are fucking... I can't believe this movie managed to get away with only being PG-13, because they do not shy away from making them look pretty damn fucked up. So obviously, because of what he's seen now, he's like, yeah, more complicated than possessed robots murdering innocent people. I will correct you, Mike. They were not innocent. They were traitors, but true, that is still terrifying. They did kill people. They are like canonically murderers now, pretty inexplicably. That's fair. Again, Vanessa's trying to like defend herself, and Mike gets so angry. He's like, you saw Abby playing with them, you knew what they were capable of, and you didn't say anything. And he, like, it's a valid crash out. It is a very valid crash out. He's very protective over Abby. He asks her, what do they want with my sister? She starts kind of freaking out. She explains that they want to make her like them. And we see Abby standing outside of the pizzeria with Golden Freddy in tow, holding his hand, walks into the building, and we kind of go back and forth between her exploring the building, freaking out because it's empty, while Vanessa continues explaining herself to Mike. She goes into more detail than anyone else in the movie has so far, and explains that back in the 80s, when those kids went missing, the police searched Freddy's from top to bottom, but they never found them. The man who took them, he was a very bad man, a very cruel man, and also a very clever man. As she continues, we go back to the drawing, implying that now we get to have details of what this was actually like for the children. He knew the parents would cry and the police would come looking, and he knew there was one thing they'd never think to check, because why would they? Stage lights turn on, and Vanessa reveals as we see the crew lighting up, I mean, why would anyone? It's not just their ghosts that are inside those suits. It's their bodies. You have to understand, the kids don't want to hurt anyone. It's him. He influences them somehow. He took everything from them, but they don't remember. And she tells Mike, you know, like, I tried to warn you in my own way of telling him that she was gonna shoot him. Very, very, very explicit, Vanessa, thank you. Really helped the situation just by being like, well, I don't want to explain it, so just don't come back or I'll fucking shoot. He stares at her, and he wants to know the name of the man that she's talking about. Who did it? Who killed his baby brother? And we get the name drop of all time. Enter William Afton, also known as Steve Raglan, the Yellow Rabbit, the man behind the slaughter, and Vanessa's father. Dun dun dun! Yep, that's right. Vanessa's last name is Vanessa Afton. And this entire time, she has been the daughter of the Yellow Rabbit himself. And now you'll see that this is the Spring Bonnie suit. As we saw earlier, and as I pointed out earlier, Golden Freddy is actually Fredbear. So Spring Bonnie is Fredbear's companion. Whenever we see Steve Raglan on screen, he's always wearing some variation of purple and yellow. So they really do like give you all the hints you need if you didn't figure it out. But it kind of sucks because if you look up the movie, Matthew Lillard is listed as playing William Afton. He's never listed as Steve Raglan. He's never listed as anything other than William Afton. So if you really don't know, sucks that it's spoiled for you, but yes, here's William Afton. There's a lot of really great foreshadowing for it. Vanessa hands him the picture of her and her dad at the entrance of Freddy's, and she's holding the same orange airplane that we've seen Garrett playing with in all of Mike's dreams. So obviously Mike is pissed and it's like, what the fuck? All this time, Vanessa starts crying. She doesn't like start sobbing, but she does start crying. It's really sad because she obviously feels like so guilty. But alas, William Afton is her dad, and I'm sure that sucks. That sucks real bad. Mike is just like, well, gotta go back. He's gotta stop him, right? He's gotta stop everything that's happening to Abby because he done fucked up and he's put Abby in danger. Because he now knows that the animatronics are being controlled by William, he knows that the animatronics are enemies too now. So we see them back on the stage Abby's going up to the stage. Vanessa is armed with electronic prods and stunners so that Mike can use them against the animatronics for his battle. And he puts on his coat, or jacket rather, and he asks, if Vanessa is gonna come with him, but she says no. And he tells her, he really messed you up, didn't he? And yeah, you can see it on her face. She is very scared of her father, and in her defense, I would be too if my father was William Afton. I love getting to praise Matthew Lillard's performance from afar, but I would never want William Afton as my dad. Matthew Lillard as my dad sounds sick as hell, but William Afton, no. But she says no. He's got to go alone. So we see both of them driving off. Vanessa drives past the Freddy Fazbear's location, while Mike drives straight to it. And we see Chica gesturing for Abby to follow her. And she does. Mike sneaks in through the back as Vanessa instructed him to do, because they were going to see him coming from the front. So he goes into the vent shaft once again, throws it off, somehow, with the noise it makes, doesn't set it off immediately, because Bonnie and Freddy are performing Talking in Your Sleep once again. And there's this really nice tense scene where Mike is trying to figure out where to go while Freddy and Bonnie's backs are turned, and he sneaks to the stage to hide out of Freddy's line of sight. And we see Freddy turn around, and it's the only time that you really see Freddy being truly antagonistic in the entire movie. And I really like how this scene is done, because it really does give you the sense of how it feels to be pursued by Freddy in the games, because he has his own specific mechanics and stuff, and it's just really cool to see it portrayed. I love it so much. While Mike is, hiding out from Freddy, Chica is guiding Abby through the employment hallways and to the Supinator room, where the Ellie animatronic we saw earlier is now. Mike sees them going, and unfortunately he has to defend himself in Abby, so he has to pour water and electrocute Freddy and Bonnie, and it's so heartbreaking, and it hurts so bad. But it has to be done. Chica picks up Abby. She tries to put her into the spring lock suit. Abby's obviously freaking the fuck out, and Mike thankfully is able to rush in and stop them in time. And he stuns Chica in the fucking eye, which is rough. Ouch. Ouch. He reaches out to Abby and she runs straight to him, of course, and they have a nice little moment again. He basically is like, I've been really stupid. I've been stuck in the past trying to fix it, but you are the most important thing in the world to me, and I promise you I'm gonna do better. And Abby is just like, I love you too, Mike, but we should probably go. So true, but it is a very sweet moment between them, and it's nice to see Mike kind of redeeming himself of sorts with the few times he has kind of treated Abby poorly. And we see as they run out of the room that Mr. Cupcake is watching, ready to attack. So they go back down the hallway, and Mr. Cupcake launches at Mike, who is limping and has been limping for the last 20 minutes because he had his legs injured in the dream earlier. And Mr. Cupcake tries to, eat the shit out of Mike's leg, just like he did Carl's face. Mike tells Abby to leave because he has this to deal with, and we see her going back into the dining hall. And Foxy is watching her, along with the kid who possesses Foxy. Uh-oh, this is bad. Mike manages to yeet this motherfucker off his leg and fucking stuns his ass in the mouth. He has stupidly good aim. These are such harsh spots for him to manage to stun everyone, but he is not fucking around. He's really portraying Gregory energy, and for that I appreciate him. Abby is not having a good time. She is being pursued by Foxy, in what is another like really great tense scene. I think this scene was like in the trailer for a little bit, at least. It was like a kind of big part of the trailer. It's really great. It really is. You really feel the tension. Foxy is a very intimidating animatronic, and they really do a good job of portraying how it would feel to be pursued by him. Abby winds up not having any chance of doing anything else but making a run for it. And she runs to the pit. Into the pit we go. She sinks under, and we see that Foxy realizes she's probably in there. But Mike is back, having defeated Mr. Cupcake. And now, oh my god, we see him. He's reacting to something that we can't see yet, and he looks petrified. And we get the entrance of all time from a movie villain. It's him. It's William Afton in the flesh, in the yellow rabbit suit, and he looks so fucking good. Look at him. Look at him. Springtrap in the flesh, which is the name the suit gets after the wear and tear overtakes it. He looks so good. It looks so good. It looks so intimidating. It has such a huge presence in the scene. His entrance is truly like so good. The music that plays and introduces him and everything, it is so fucking good. It is so worth the wait to see him. And I just want to take a moment to appreciate the FNAF movies for giving me my rights. For giving me my rights as a FNAF veteran. Finally getting to see William Afton himself in action in the Springtrap suit is all I've ever fucking wanted. It is so good. I love it so much. He looks so good. Even the eyes, the way they're glowing, the way you can kind of see his face in the mouth a little bit right here. So good. So good. Really good job at portraying how like truly overpowering and intimidating it would be to witness this motherfucker coming after you. And I think it also speaks to an interesting dynamic of like, William's always interested me as a villain because he's got an animatronic suit, but at the end of the day, he's just a guy. He's just an intelligent man. And sometimes that is scarier than nightmares because of what they can be capable of. The people who can do that are monsters. And I think the way of it being that he donned the animatronic suit to do it, I don't know, it's always felt very interestingly symbolic to me because it makes him even more intimidating and scary in the mind of a child. Because you're seeing animatronic that he is inhabiting. You're not seeing a man, you're seeing Spring Bonnie being corrupted and harming you. It's very intense. And I think his entrance really encapsulates the vibe. It's so good. I love it so much. Please watch the movie. It's on Peacock. Please watch the movie after this, please. Mike tries to stun him, and obviously it doesn't fucking work because he is not an animatronic. He's a whole ass man that is controlling the suit, and really the only animatronic part that's still doing its job is his eyes. Everything else, though, he has full control over. So Mike doesn't stand a chance. But I will give him credit for the character development because at least he didn't pull out a fucking chair. You know? He's trying his best to fight even though he doesn't stand a chance. I appreciate it. But obviously, he is no match for William. And William just kicks his ass. And he goes fucking flying. And William is laughing the entire time, having the time of his fucking life. And you know, I'm not typically the kind of person who roots for villains. I'm almost always a person who roots for the heroes. And FNAF is not an exception in the games, but in the movie, because you just can tell that Matthew Lillard is having so much fun finally playing a villain again. I can't help but love him. I can't help but love the portrayal of this in the movie. It's just, he's having so much fun. I'm having so much fun getting to watch him. He's getting so much enjoyment out of just torturing Mike because obviously this shit hurts to be kicked by. So Mike is fighting for his fucking life, and Abby's fighting for her fucking life because we see Foxy looming over the ball pit that we know Abby is inside. But thankfully, Vanessa saves the day. She stuns Foxy, takes Abby out of the ball pit, and tells Abby that she needs to go help her brother and get Abby somewhere safe so that she can help Mike, who is being tortured. William, again, he's having a field day, all right? He's like, the little ones tell me that you have a sister. She'll love it here. In this scene, he also directly confirms that he was indeed the one who killed Mike's brother, specifically saying, "This is perfect. First I killed your brother, now I kill you." Very fucked up and evil of him, but it is what it is. Can't believe I forgot this in the stream. Whoops. You, however, are finished. Mike tells him to go to hell. And he kicks him again. And again, his ass goes flying. We see him trying to awaken the children. And they do wake up. Springtrap takes out a knife, tells him he's finished, and does the ghost face knife wipe, which is so good. It's so cool, and I love it so much. I'm so happy to finally see Matthew Lillard playing a villain again. Oh, it's so good. I appreciate it so much. It's such a fun little nod. Oh, God. I love this movie so fucking much, man. Before he can stab Mike, Vanessa's here. And she's ready to save the day. And she points her gun at William, who, again, we know is her father. He's not taking it very seriously. He's just kind of mocking her. He takes off the Springtrap head so that we can see his face and see how much he does not give a fuck and how angry he really is. And again, I just want to point out, look at him. He's having such a good time. He's so happy. I too would be happy. Getting to play Springtrap, that would be the honor of a lifetime. He's having so much fun. Good for him. Bad for everyone else, but good for Matthew Lillard. He basically starts telling her, you know, you had one job. One. Abby runs over to Mike, freaking out. His ass is unconscious. And William continues to berate Vanessa. He acts like she's not gonna shoot him. And thankfully, she does. She gets him right in the chest. And he is pissed because he really didn't think that she would do it. But she did. She's ready to kick his ass. But unfortunately, he has the upper hand. And he tells her, you had one job. Keep him in the dark and kill him if he got too close. While Mike and Abby look over and see the drawing pointing out that maybe they can change things if they replace the drawing and show them what William actually did. Vanessa says William's #1 pet peeve. That's 2 jobs. And he fucking strangles her. He pins her against the crane machine that you see behind her here. And he has, like, no remorse on his face. The entire scene is acted very well. This scene hits, man. This is the scariest part of the movie to me, because I've been there before, and nothing is scarier than your own parent approaching you with anger and rage and completely devoid of the love a parent is supposed to hold for their child. It's done very well. So while that's happening, Abby gets to work. She gets a poster, and on the back of the poster, she starts scribbling out a picture that portrays what actually happened to the children, tearing down the poster that we've seen this entire time, the drawing of the yellow rabbit surrounded by the 5 children, smiling and happy. William sees what Abby's doing, is ready to fucking throw hands. Vanessa tries to stop him, and he stabs her straight in the gut. Just reflexively. She looks at him with utter betrayal in her eyes because, again, this is her own father. He's already choked her, and now he stabbed her. He doesn't have any remorse on his face at all. She just weakly limps to the ground, and William turns his attention back to Abby's. actions as she pins the drawing of what William actually did to those children on the wall with a pencil. And now that he knows the jig is up, they know the truth, and they can't be controlled by him anymore. Now he's showing regret, but not for what he just did to his daughter, for knowing his ass is caught. Abby tells him, they know what you did. They remember now. And we see the animatronics glaring at him. Their memories now return through the power of art and children's drawings. They remember, and they are ready to beat William's ass. They start mocking him. They surround him. They turn the fucking spotlights on, blinding his ass. And he tries so hard to still be big macho man. He makes fun of them. He tells them that, you know, look at how small you are. All this sort of shit. He calls them a bunch of awful names, calls them rotten beats, and it's just like, oh, William, don't you know? The only rotten person here is you. He tries to tell him, you know, I made you, because technically he did. He is the reason why they're in animatronic suits, but they didn't deserve to have their childhoods robbed for that, so they don't fucking care. Chica unleashes Mr. Cupcake on him, and Mr. Cupcake, as always, being the biter of all time, takes a fucking chunk out of William's suit. The spring locks in his suit start going off, and we actually see his death in pretty damn explicit detail. It's super gnarly. It lasts a long time. In the games, it's sort of instant because you only see it through a game cutscene, but the movie has it lasting for a long time. It is a slow and painful, agonizing death, but one that is sorely deserved for a man who stole the lives of numerous children. He sinks to his knees, no longer able to contain how much pain he's in because, again, very slow and agonizing death, but agonizing to be sure. But he still can't go out without being a little pretentious. So he picks up the animatronic head again, and with the animatronic head raised over his, he says the line, I always come back. And then he puts the head back on while the animatronics just stare his ass down, watching him slowly succumb to his injuries. Freddy roars, an indication of a victory that has certainly been a very long time coming. And Abby, Vanessa, and Mike all leave the building as it crashes down, the animatronics pulling William's still twitching body away somewhere. We cut to a new day. We're doing better now, guys. It's the epilogue. And Abby's actually interacting with other students at school. Isn't that so fun? Good for her. Mike is talking to the counselor, and the counselor is so impressed with him. He's been doing so well for Abby, and you could tell that he's proud of himself too because he's smiling. And she says, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And, you know, true. Absolutely true. We get like a really cute scene with them in the car after they leave, and it's just really sweet. Mike asking Abby what she wants for dinner, pizza or spaghetti and meatballs, and she says both, and he's like, no, you can't choose both, you gotta pick one. She again goes like, both. No, you gotta pick one. So she settles on spaghetti and meatballs, and we see that they are actually driving to the hospital so that they can visit Vanessa. And this again is another really sweet scene. She is, you know, being tended to because of the injuries she sustained. She got stabbed in the fucking gut by her own father. Really sucks. She is fine. She does live. We know this from the second movie, but it's still nice that they include the fact that she was visited while she was still recovering from her injuries by Mike. And there's actually a really sweet moment where Mike says that we'll be here when you wake up. And then he takes her hand and has just a little moment of holding her hand before leaving the hospital with Abby. And they go back home, and we see on the fridge, Abby drew a picture of the fort from earlier, and it's on the fridge next to the picture that he has of his family with Garrett, and it's just so adorable. It's just so sweet. I love it so much. It's such a nice little detail. They're sitting at the table and they're having the spaghetti and meatballs that Abby requested. And they're talking. Abby says that she misses her friends, asks if they can go see them. And Mike initially says no. But then he sees how Abby reacts with a lot of sadness, and he says, "You never know what can happen." And she lights up because she's like, "Yay! I'll get to see my friends again! Isn't that so exciting? Good for her! Yay! Freddie, come back!" And then we zoom out and we see that they're having a conversation, and it continues to be like a really endearing conversation because Mike asks, "Do you think if you drink enough milk, you become a cow?" And Abby's like, "No." And they just continue on, and it's so sweet. I wonder if it was maybe improv, because it feels like a true conversation that like a caretaker would have with a child. Like that is the sorts of things you say to children to keep their whimsy up, you know. But that is not the last scene of the movie. We actually get a little scene before the credits even start. We see William in the supply closet once again, still writhing and withering in pain. He's whimpering now. He's trying his best to do something about it. He reaches his hand up because he sees that one of the children is watching them, but it just limply falls to the floor as he continues to be stabbed by the spring locks. And we see that the child possessing Golden Freddy is watching him and just closes the door. And that's the end of the movie, guys! Yay! And that is the movie. But there are a couple of post-credit scenes and inter-credit scenes that I would like to briefly go over. Corey X Kenshin has an additional cameo. I actually showed the clip on stream, but because of YouTube's copyright restrictions, I decided that I would just link it in the description so you can see both of his cameos in the description if you would like to see them. There's also a voice that plays at the end of the credits and spells out "Come Find Me" in the voice of the Save Them minigame that Scott had in his era of the games. Thank you so very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. This was such a labor of love. It took so long, so much effort, so much time, but it was truly worth it in the end. Because of that effort and time, though, I don't know how often I'll do this, but I hope that you look forward to it as soon as I announce the next time I do this. In the meantime, we're just gonna hang out on stream. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on stream. I love you. Bye. Mwah.